You know, sometimes I wonder if other streamers, after a day of not streaming, also sit down and think, how the hell do I do this again? You know, like they're worried they're going to press the wrong button in OBS or something. Because there's been a couple of times, it hasn't happened yet, but there have been a couple of times that I've almost ended the stream because I was trying to switch between scene stages and my mouse cursor was hovering over stop streaming. You did you early? I'm always early. Ah, I forgot the colored lights. Lights of color. Sorry. And to do my hair properly. What is that? What are we doing today? Ah, it's fine. Oh, it's not fine. Huh. Wonder why it's doing that today. Should have looked in the mirror, I suppose. Happy Easter, Xbox. Hello now. Why no Easter lights? I don't know if that would complement my skin tone very much. You know, I had a hell of a day yesterday. But I feel like I should talk about it after I slick my hair back a little bit. You know? One second. Okay. I don't know if that fixed it. Not really. All right, well. Don't know how disagreeable my hair can really be, despite being like, I don't know, an inch and a half long, maybe. Oh my God. I had such a day yesterday. Woke up in the morning, started doing landscaping for a local community cleanup, you know? We were pulling ivy and blackberry thorned bushes. It was a hell of a time. You know, most of the people there were old. They couldn't do much more than trim, but you know, the privilege of being young and strong. I was up there, I was ripping out the ivy. It was a lot of exercise, real good. Super cool. That was pretty fun. Also, it's pretty much I gotta say, man, listen, okay? Ivy, a little bit overpowered. Also, the Ivy and the Blackberry, they were working together. They were like fucking Koji and Yuji or whatever, man. They were boogie woogieing on my ass. You can't do the big Ivy pull because you grab some of the fucking thorned Blackberry, you know? You had to like Toto, not Toji. Thank you, Yuji and Toto. Thank you. I had the image in my head. Use a rake. Oh, I used a rake, shovel, listen, okay? The ivy was well embedded. Well embedded. This was not a light dusting. Anyway, 3 solid hours of exercise. Walked around for a bit, went shopping. Turns out the loafers I was interested in getting from Alden, not only were they not in stock, they don't make them anymore without custom order. So for one, they didn't have any loafers in my size. And then for two, they don't make their hand sewn loafers anymore, and I wanted hand sewn loafers. So anyway, after that, there was some good news. I went over to a curated thrift store, the very very good Vintage Barn Owl Goods. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Couldn't believe it, man. These made in America Levi's 550s. Oh my God, what a dream! And they fit me. What's up? Show ass? Okay, yeah, they fit my ass pretty good too. But those look sick. Yeah. But they no, it's good. Made in America, copper rivets, copper button, as God intended. No, they're very good. You know, I mean, these jeans are like at least 40 years old. Very, very happy with them. Also got some. Hold on. I couldn't believe it. Also in my size, 38, 33, OG, dead stock, OG 107s. The real ones. Oh man, what a lucky find. You know how hard these are to find these days? Sure, you can pull them off eBay, but and back during the Vietnam War, they were not making many boys my size. Love that color. Can you believe those OG 107s over 50 years old? It's crazy. And I just saw them there on the goddamn rack. How much you pay for it? Honestly, it was a steal. OG 107's dead stock was like 130, I think. 130. Very happy with that. These Levi's were 80. I couldn't believe. Whew. Real good. Real good. No, I'm happy. $130. Listen, if you don't know, you don't know. It's A-okay. It's A-okay. So OG 107s, they were the pants our boys wore over in Vietnam. They're basically a fashion staple. Original made in USA Levi's and OG 107s are literally two of the, like, baseline ideal, platonic ideal of menswear starter pants. I couldn't believe it. I got so goddamn lucky. Technically, people like 501s. This is 550, which is the relaxed fit, but that's fine for me because even if I lost weight, I would still have wide hips and thighs. I'm fine with the relaxed cut. Is 130 a lot for clothing? Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're getting it from. It is worth pointing out, though, that both the pairs of pants I just showed off are about 50 years old, and they're still completely undamaged. So think of it as a cost per wear thing, okay? As long as I stay more or less the same size and shape, I could be wearing these jeans for the rest of my life. If you lost more weight, you could also wear a super cool belt with them. Well, you could wear a cool belt now. Still room for the belt. How many men's asses have been in those jeans? Just adds flavor. 501s are incredible. I own a pair that's nearly 40 years old. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Edgy Albert Levi's. This guy works with Levi's. Wow. Is this the one where he shows the 550s? Is this the one with music? Music! Does he have the 550s in this one? Show me the 550s. Wranglers. Oh, he looks good. He is a model. Dungarees. See how the 550s are here? Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm misremembering. Are those the 501s? Those are so blue. Those were very blue. Nah, I don't think these are the 550s. Who's that, the YouTuber? Edgy Albert. Good fashion YouTuber. Nah, no such luck. All right. Are you able to direct me for a For Dummies simple as can be fashion guide for men? Nope. No such luck, my friend. It's an art form, and everyone who gets interested in an art form, there's no way through but suffering, Suffering is the only way through. LLB in Japan. Yeah, I saw their collaboration. What a beautiful man. Thank God for Japan preserving American menswear. Saw some of their stuff. The field coat. Is they have the pastels with the field coat? No, I'm thinking of Barber. It does look real nice, though. All right. Good find, Skynet. All right. Let's not waste too much time, huh? Ayo. Retarded Israelis park 3 tanks next to each other in Lebanon. Hezbollah FPV drone hits them. Love the persistent incompetence of fascists, you know? Much, much better than them being good at their jobs. Beep. Beep, 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 beep. Wow, they really did park those tanks right next to each other, huh? Just right. That's crazy. Why would you ever do that? Can a drone really destroy a tank? Absolutely. Yeah. The best tanks have those like reactive anti-explosive the reactive armor plates, but even then, I mean, if an explosive hits your tank, it could do it in. All three of them though? No, it couldn't destroy 3 tanks probably, but it could probably, destroy one, damage one. That's really funny. They're hitting the tracks. Yeah, I mean, if it can't move, it can't move. You'd have to send mechanics out there to fix it. Close all that. Were they just parked there unattended? Yeah, they were busy fucking kids in the that hadn't run from the village in time. Just classic Israeli shit. Reactive armor isn't necessarily good. It's a doctrinal decision to equip it or not. If there's anything we've learned from the drone era of warfare, it's that the more you spend on a particular piece of equipment, the more vulnerable you are to asymmetrical warfare. You know, Russia's tanks did nothing against Ukrainian drones. We had to pull back a fucking aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, because it was taking drone fire from Iran. Like it's everything is only as it's only as worthwhile as the cost of the drone it takes to destroy it. To some extent, yeah. No, I mean really, it's yeah, you don't want to spend $50 billion on like a super tank or whatever. So it's just spamming drones now. Do troops even matter anymore? Well, you can't really hold territory without troops, but also what Ukraine and Russia have taught us is that it's really, 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 really difficult to hold territory. This is so incorrect. Please watch Laserpig's drone video. Tell me what's incorrect, Sin Phoenix. Nothing pisses me, with respect, nothing pisses me off more than people being like, you're so wrong on this. Watch this 1 hour YouTube video I made. No, if you watched it, you should know why I'm wrong, right? Why defer me to the literature? You're clearly an expert on the subject. Tell me where I'm wrong. I would love to know. So wrong it defies words. Yeah, that's true. That's pretty true. The issue is drones aren't an end all be all. Tanks and drones both fill different roles in a battlefield. I didn't say they don't. I'm just saying that like there is a clear cost imbalance between drones and tanks that make the tanks more and more of a liability. You know, a tank costs like at minimum 100 times as much as. Well, hold on. Even if you assume a Shahid, not even an FPV, but like a Shahid, which are larger, drone is 50,000 times 100, 50 million. How much does a tank cost? How much is an Abrams cost of an Abrams? Over 10 million per unit, up to 24 million depending on export packages, equipment trade. Yeah, like genuinely between 50 and 100 times as much as a Shahid drone, and those are the bigger ones, not even the little FPV beep 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 drones. Um, Shades are not used against tanks. I know that. That's why I'm under attack. I'm under attack from the laser pig video watchers. Ah, well. German citizens between 17 and 45 now need permission from the army to leave Germany for more than 3 months. What? That's fucking ominous. German males aged between 17 to 45 may need to seek approval for lengthy stays abroad under changes introduced as part of a new law which introduced voluntary military service. Why would you need permission to leave the country as part of a package to introduce voluntary military service? How is surely the voluntary element is not. That's ominous. I imagine this is due to Russia, but this is a bit weird. Russia is not doing anything that would require Germany to do this. This is just fascism. I'll call it. It is fascistic. There is absolutely no reason to restrict the free travel of civilians for this reason. Camera's a little bit. Also sexist? Also sexist. That is true. It's not voluntary anymore. We introduced involuntary service recently. Yes, the German government implementing austerity in literally every sector except for their defense industry. Germany needs to rearm unironically. Here's my controversial opinion. They really don't. I do think that NATO over-reliance on America is a problem, but at the same time, like, Russia doesn't threaten Germany. They just don't. It's like it's hilarious that they're managing to fearmonger over this. Like, Russia is a real threat. I'm not pretending, like, I'm not saying they're not bad or whatever, but they can't even make it into Ukraine. They've stalled for years. Well, like, what possible change in circumstances could bring Russia from exhausting all of its best people, munitions, and equipment on the easternmost quarter of Ukraine over to overtaking Ukraine and Poland and then threatening Germany? Like, what could possibly, do they think like the Russians are on the brink of discovering some kind of new technology or something? Like they're about to break through? The Baltics? If Russia wanted to do that, they would have already. Yeah, I'm about to think the fucking Metal Gear. Politicians think that? No, politicians just want an excuse to fearmonger and give more money to weapons manufacturers. Germany will have to aid allies in Eastern Europe when attacked. Dude, it's not, you don't need conscription in Germany. You just don't. Oh yeah, we finally got the website subs and donos working again for the pop-up. The military is literally aging out. More than half their equipment's not serviceable. That's fine, man. Gonna make young Germans die for Israel? Yeah. Chancellor Friedrich Merz has pledged to rebuild the Bundeswehr into Europe's strongest conventional army in response to what his government describes as a more dangerous security environment in Europe. Yeah. Again, has nothing to do with Israel. Incorrect. Everything on Earth has to do with Israel. The form will be mandatory for men and voluntary for women. Wow. I don't know. I'm pretty scared having Russia as a neighbor. Or if you're German, you don't have Russia as a neighbor. There's Poland and then there's Ukraine. France said it was introducing 10 months of voluntary military training for 18, 19-year-olds. Yeesh. From July 2027, all 18-year-old men will have to take a medical exam to assess their fitness for possible military service. Do you know how many civic problems we would have fixed if we did this, except for like a civil service corps? Like for a fraction of the money, we could have done this with New Deal style, like train a bunch of 18-year-olds to fill potholes, and we would have, like, every Western country would have been a gleaming utopia. It's not even a joke. The amount of money, the government training a like elite core of young construction, maintenance, and just general service workers would fix so many problems. So fucking grim. We have the Job Corps. Actually, unless I'm remembering my headlines incorrectly, we no longer have the Job Corps. Trump officially defunded the Job Corps, the America's largest vocational training program. As a former Job Corps graduate, it's complete ass and does literally nothing for you anyway. Yeah, I've heard that as well. The idea is still good though, you know? Better than sending everyone to the military, diverting all your taxpayer dollars to fucking German arms contractors. The fear-mongering in German media is on a different level. Everyone's screaming everywhere about Russia potentially nuking us. I just hope people understand that all the fear-mongering about Russia and Germany is exactly the same as what America did with Iraq and Iran. You're no different from us. The fear-mongering, like, hyped up, oh my god, they pose a great threat to us bullshit, when they objectively do not, is just another excuse to divert weapons to our manufacturers. That's it. Same goddamn thing. Just keep in mind that Russia poses the exact same threat to Germany as they do to America, as they do to Australia, as they do to Botswana, which is to say the only threat Russia poses is in nuclear annihilation, which would hit everyone. I'm sorry, random dude. That really sucks. Do we know why Germany's doing this now? Global fascist tide rising. Xenophobia, isolationism, warmongering. It's all coming back. Don't forget the fact that Russia funds our far right movements and some of our far left retards. Sure, but they did that in America too, you know? And it's not like pumping up the military is going to stop that. Like, how does diverting a bunch of money to the Bundeswehr stop Russia from interfering in Western elections, you know? So Russia sending drones into NATO airspace isn't a threat. Okay, then. That is correct, yes. Russia sending drones to, like, flirt in Baltic airspace does not mean that Russia poses a conventional military threat to Germany. It does not mean that Germany needs to increase the funding of the Bundeswehr. Yes, that is correct. No, a drone flying in NATO airspace does not mean Russia is capable of suddenly overwhelming both Ukraine and Poland and making their way to Germany's border. That is true, yeah. Russia will never make it all the way to the western edge of Ukraine. They have proven they are not capable of it. If they were going to do it, they would have done it in the first 3 months of the war, and they didn't. And they've lost all their best equipment, and the only men they have left are pathetic, toothless old men and, like, virgin 18-year-olds who are looking to have their death paycheck sent to their family because they're useless otherwise. Like, the idea that Russia is going to suddenly overwhelm Ukraine and make it all the way there and through fucking it's ridiculous. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Do not get baited by this fear mongering. Got you, Pale Aura. Did you make an account to correct me? We're a cuck nation. We're all cuck nations in the end. Geopolitics is just a musical chair procession of cuck chairs and cuck beds. Everyone just taking turns watching everyone else fuck everyone else's wife. How Russia's threat has seen Germany become Europe's most important army. Yeah. This is insane. Look at this. General Karsten Brewer is a man in a hurry, head of Germany's armed forces. Quote, so what we are facing is a threat from Russia. We can clearly see Russia is building up its military to a strength which is nearly double size of which they had before the war against Ukraine. In 2029, it will be possible for Russia to conduct a major war against NATO. This is insane. Like, this person should be court-martialed. It's hysterical. You need to go to a fucking loony bin. Russia's military is now twice as strong as it was before the invasion of Ukraine. Are you crazy? But they're lying. And these generals are in bed with military contractors and they work together, and the generals work with politicians to hype up and fearmonger so that more money gets diverted over to the arms contractors. Then when the generals retire, they go work, they're on the board of whatever the German equivalent of Lockheed Martin is. Saying Russia is not a threat is insane too. Can you listen to the words that I'm saying? Russia is a threat to Ukraine. Rheinmetall. And to the Baltics, Poland, and likely Finland? No. No. Stop. The only threat that Russia poses to any country, meaningful threat, outside of Ukraine is in the form of nuclear warfare, which, again, would be a threat to every country on Earth. Funny how Polish generals don't fearmonger this much. And we're a little less hysterical. You have to prepare years in advance for more powerful Russia? Dog, there's no more powerful Russia. They've been declining since the Cold War. They've used up their Soviet stockpile. What do you mean a more power? With what economy? With what people? They're out of people. They're desperately trying to avoid a mass conscription that they know would be unpopular even in their shithole backwater country. What more powerful Russia? What industrial superpower? What are you talking about? You guys are literally doing the Iraq WMD bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. I was in the German military. One of the top officers for armament projects in my branch was a brother of the chair of one of the companies which does the armament. Yeah, that sounds about right. German Lockheed Rheinmetall stock grew by 15 times since Russian attack in Ukraine. Yeah. That's the reason why they're doing this, by the way. Look at that. All this fear-mongering is just another attempt to boost the stock price. If you don't see that, then you're a rube. And you would fall for all this bullshit from Trump, too. If you don't see what the point of this insane fear-mongering is, like, oh, Russia, they could overwhelm Germany any day now, then you would fall for it in America, too. And this is why I hate it when people act like Europe is fundamentally better or different. You're just a weaker version of us. The same cuckoldry to capital, the same weak politicians, the same like corporatists writing your bills, your laws. It's the same bullshit. You're just weaker than us. You're like a worse version of us. Like, at least we're the center of the world. You guys are pantomiming our politics, but you don't even get to be the center of the world. How confident are you in your assessment on the current day state of the German army? In that it doesn't need to be massively empowered in order to resist conventional warfare from Russia? Extremely. You don't think Germany should be able to at least conduct a war for more than a month? Because that's what they found through training. They can't fight longer than a month. And where did you hear that assessment from? Can't fight longer than a month. Where did you hear that assessment from? Literally just talking out of your ass? Where am I wrong? Explain where I'm wrong. NAVO Warhawks, yeah. Wasn't Ukraine supposed to be a 3-day blitzkrieg? I can't believe we're fear-mongering over a country that's been entrenched in the Donbass for like fucking 3 years now. It's crazy. Yeah, man, any day now they'll break free and suddenly march 800 miles west. Watch the Perun video, Vosh. You're just wrong. It's always you're wrong. Watch this other thing. It's never here's my counter argument in chat. Every time, man. Every time. I'm not listening to any. This is an 80-minute video. Absolutely the fuck not. Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ. I'm not taking pointers on whether or not the Bundeswehr needs to fucking double its budget from NATO Warhawks, okay? These are the same people that were cheering as Israel started bombing Lebanon in 2023. Bro would have said the same. The video was 2 minutes. You do got me on that one. You're wrong. Watch this come down bit. That I might do. The reason post videos instead of arguments, they don't actually learn enough from the video to articulate a point, so they use it to make an argument for them that doesn't exist most likely. The number one tell that I've noticed is that when people disagree but they're wrong and can't substantiate it, they get angry. When a person thinks that a streamer is wrong but they know why, they don't get angry. What they get angry at is their impotence in defending a position they have but can't justify. So if a person starts getting really indignant and they're like, "Oh, you fucking idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about," but they don't provide an argument, that usually means they are having their challenge their priors challenged, but they don't know how to defend it. Whereas if a person knows, if you know how I'm wrong and you can succinctly describe it, you can like one-shot me, basically. It doesn't take much. But I know it when I see it, okay? Could also be they're bad at articulating. Well, that's their fault, not mine. Does that mean when you get mad at chat using that same law? Yes, that's true. Why would anyone hold a position if they don't have anything to back it up? That's like 90% of positions people hold. How is calling them weak an argument in the first place? Wait, what are we arguing about right now? What are people mad at me about? I think it's bad that Germany and France are like flirting with the idea of mass enlistment and pumping a bunch of money into arms contractors based on fear-mongering over a country that objectively does not pose a conventional threat to them. And I stand by the idea that they objectively don't pose a conventional threat to them for the same reason I would feel that way about Iran or Iraq. Russia is as likely to engage in a conventional ground war with Germany as Iran was with the United States. You keep ignoring stuff like Greenland? That's different. I'm talking about Russia fear-mongering. If the argument for boosting Germany's defense spending was that, like, the American century is over and they're fending for themselves now, that's a different one. But the argument being made by a lot of these warhawks is very explicitly that Russia is, like, on the precipice of annihilating Germany. This general, right here, this is a quote from the general in this article. So what we're seeing, what we are facing, is a threat from Russia. We can clearly see Russia is building up its military to a strength which is nearly double the size of what they had been before the war against Ukraine. In 2029, it'll be possible for Russia to conduct a major war against NATO. Genuinely psychotic. That's what I'm referring to. So if you're mad at me for disagreeing with I guess your propositions regarding the legitimacy of German rearmament, this is the argument that I'm arguing against. Insane. Germany's projected to spend 162 billion on its military in 2029, up from 95 billion in 2025. Me leftistly defending a Western European country doubling its arms spending. What's your assessment on the likelihood of Russia moving against the Baltic states? I guess they could. I don't know why they would. Like, unless they were trying to commit murder-suicide? Like, Russia can't even move in Ukraine. Why would... I mean, the Baltic states would falter, but, like, why? There are entrenched NATO positions there. It wouldn't be like a one-to-one... Like, if they were going to do that, there would be a very obvious buildup, you know? And that would be like a broader NATO... And I hope everyone understands this, but, like, leaving nukes on the table, like, we're not addressing them, NATO would annihilate Russia. We all understand this, right? Like, Russia is fighting with fumes. They're fighting with, like, World War I style military doctrine of trench warfare and artillery, and then they're putting the drones out as they can. Like, the idea that they could fight against NATO is insane. There are close to 1,200 German troops stationed in Lithuania. That'll rise to nearly 5,000 by the end of the year. That seems fine to me, I guess. 5,000 German troops in Lithuania. I really don't think Russia could break through that. I know it sounds like oh, just 5,000, but like Russia is the only reason Russia hasn't gotten pushed back from their current lines in eastern Ukraine is because the no man's land between their front and the Ukrainian front is a hellhole of trenches and landmines. You know? The ability for Russia to open a new front, I think, is severely weakened compared to the beginning of the war. In order to quickly open a front, you need like you need like a tip of the spear. You need a bunch of armored vehicles. You need air control. You need like a something. You need like a big force to push through. But Russia doesn't have that anymore. So slow, grinding, attritional death is the only thing they can really do anymore. You know. I do take a look at some of the vids that get posted to counter your argument sometimes, and they generally don't even hard disagree with you. They just come to a slightly different conclusion. Yeah, it's what I've noticed as well. It's not that I disagree with the videos necessarily. I just think that people get angry and impotent, and they just post them without thinking, which is really annoying, both, I think, to me and also to, like, the people whose videos are being posted, because I can tell you guys that if one of you was wrong and you were defending your wrong point by posting a video where I'm arguing something similar but not quite the same, I'd be pretty annoyed with you. That would kind of piss me off a little bit. Like, listen to what I'm saying, you know? Russia has had more than half a decade to sharpen its teeth and gain real combat experience. Oh my god. The Russian army of today is not the Russian army that failed to take Kiev. Are you seriously suggesting the Russian army today is more competent than it was before the Ukraine war? Come on, dude. Are you fucking kidding? They're dead. They're all dead. They're not having their teeth sharpened. They're having their teeth blown apart. They're still not taking Kiev. They're further from taking it than they were 3 days after the war began. Just stop with the fear-mongering, man. You're nominally leftist, but you're literally like engaging in fear mongering over a foreign enemy to excuse your far right politicians pumping up military conscription and military spending. Like, what the fuck? Aren't you on the left? Nah, have a good time. I love you. You're beautiful. Okay, that's cool. Imperial German sock thems be like, yeah. The Russian military has been weakened in strength, but is gaining experience. I don't think that the conflict works the way that you think it does. I don't think that's true. This is literally how wars work. The soldiers in them typically develop improved skills. Yeah, but that's not the problem that Russia's having right now. A lot of the people they're sending out to die are like fucking 18-year-olds from ethnic minority communities who are just getting like, what experience are they getting? How to hide in a trench? How to like say your prayers quickly as you see the FPV drone hovering towards you? How to not look undignified as so that the Ukrainians who are laughing at the fucking video footage of you as the drone approaches don't like piss themselves laughing. Like, I understand the war has changed a lot in the past century, and I'm not like a military expert. There's no argument for the idea that Russia is getting stronger over time. That is just so baseless. You have to listen, okay? Objectively, the thing that you should fear is austerity politics, neoliberalism, and the rising tide of fascism. If in your top 5 fears as a German or a Western European is fucking Russia, your priorities are insanely skewed, and you, to me, are exactly like an American who is afraid of Iraq in like 2002 or something. You're falling for all the propaganda. Oh, greatest threat to our freedom. They hate our freedom. Like, you are, to me, that guy. It's not even remotely close to the top fears you should have on your mind, okay? Would you support the German military building up funding if their argument was to wage a people's crusade for the Holy Catholic Church against Jerusalem? If the Bundeswehr was rearming with the intent of a holy crusade down to retake Jerusalem for Christendom, then that would be a different thing. Yeah, that would be a different thing. That'd be different. Germany is Protestant. They have Catholics. The concern isn't Russia gaining strength now. What they gain is getting blown away by Ukrainians, as you say. The concern is what happens after the war with Ukraine ends. Well, so okay, you want an answer to this? The only chance that Russia has of even remotely rearming there are 2 things you can do to limit that possibility. Okay, for one, invest in green energy. Seriously, the fact that you guys were so reliant on Russian fossil fuels for so long is pathetic, especially Germany. Why'd you close down all those nuclear plants? Probably Russian interference. And 2, stop pushing other countries into positions where they can only trade with Russia. All right? Stop sanctioning Iran. Treat Iran like a normal country. Treat China like a normal country. All right? Treat Russia like a normal country. After the war is over, get over yourselves and do your best to engage with the world on a fairer field so you no longer create this like asymmetric axis of evil where Russia is able to get a bunch of money by trading with Iran or whatever. Aid Ukraine in rebuilding and I don't know, invest in solar. You could like Russia would have no ability. Honestly, if you undercut Russia's profits in their petro sales, if you were able to like really build up your energy infrastructure so you no longer have to rely on Russian oil or natural gas, Russia would have no way of replenishing its military. It would probably balkanize. Like, the only reason Russia hasn't lost Siberia is because of the petrol, or sorry, the petrol interdependence, the fact that there's so many resources out there east, and and the fact that Russia's been able to promise a kind of consolidation with the wealth that it's generated from those sales. Genuinely, within 10 or 20 years, you might have like a totally different map, like a global map, you know? But you'll need to like lock the fuck in, I guess. None of this has anything to do with rearming Germany, though. Like we don't need to spend all of human history building up a like post Cold War Iron Curtain up against the edge of Ukraine, the forever war with Russia. That's just not, the world doesn't have to be like that, you know? Please stop speaking like you know anything. Russians have specialized units like Rubicon that would destroy NATO forces due to our outdated tactics. Sure, okay. Well, I don't know why they haven't taken Kyiv yet, then. I don't know. Russia has a super secret fucking hidden domain technique that they can utilize at any time, but they can't even beat Ukraine, the like 50th strongest army. Like, okay. Yeah, they secretly have space marines. They have a Metal Gear. Okay. Come on. Russia is benefiting from the Iran war. Yeah, then maybe Europe should stop fucking doing whatever America tells it to. You know? Maybe Europe should start treating Iran like a normal country, which it is. Iran isn't like a despotic terror state or what. It's got 100 million people. It's a major country. Treat it like a normal ass country. You trade with other dictatorships. You trade with Saudi Arabia. Yeah, you trade with Israel, the world's most evil state. I don't know why you're so dense on this. Ukraine is fucking mogging them, but Russia still mogs the NATO army. I genuinely, I think you people are insane. I really, truly do. Whatever media you guys are consuming that has led you to believe that Russia, despite stalling in Ukraine and holding a line for years, poses a threat to NATO. Whatever you're watching that's convincing you of this, I think it's hurting you. I genuinely think you have built up a NAFO like YouTube subscription list. Maybe you watch me too because I'm pro Ukraine, so you think like, oh, he's a but I think the other guys you're watching are hurting you. I think they're hurting your brain. You sound unhinged to me. All right. You get in chat if you want to add to the conversation. I didn't say they weren't a threat at any point. I said it wasn't. I'm talking about their military experience, clearly leagues above NATO, and to dismiss that as silly. I, I'm really sorry, but like, no. The Russia is not building up an elite core of conscripted soldiers who are slowly gaining like super soldier experience that would let them easily overwhelm NATO countries. They can't even get through Ukraine. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. I don't know. We could keep doing this forever. I don't know. Yeah, stop focusing on military experience. Start focusing on military performance because that's where it counts. And so far, I'm not seeing much. What are we gabbing about? A significant number of my chatters seem to believe that NATO is on the cusp of being overwhelmed by Russia. Tell them they dumb. I'm trying. It's not working. Significant is overstating it. Come on, Lamau. Dude, there are people in chat unironically arguing that Russia could beat NATO when they haven't moved in Ukraine in 3 years. I don't know what. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Like, you guys sound like the weird campists who act like Russia is on the cusp of overwhelming Europe because they've been building up their fucking hidden Sharingan technique that's going to overwhelm Ukraine any day now. Like, just work off existing military performance. If Ukraine was going to be overwhelmed by Russia. It would have happened by now. If Russia could overwhelm NATO, they could have overwhelmed Ukraine. They didn't. Okay, but a refurbishment of the military in the face of the fracturing of the transatlantic relationship's not unreasonable, no? Maybe, but it's a far-right chancellor who's using illegitimate and irrational fear-mongering to justify a near doubling of your military budget while also pushing for conscription of your young men. Do you not see how this goes? These people think we live in the Dune universe. Yeah. I think you picked up a lot of European chauvinists after the war started. They sort of accepted your otherwise left-wing positions. That's how I felt when I criticized Trudeau back when he was doing the bank freezes after the big trucker strike in Canada, where a bunch of people who previously had agreed with a lot of leftist positions were suddenly like completely unwilling to be even remotely critical of Canadian leadership, even though Trudeau is at most like center left. And it's realized all of a sudden like their only politics was we're better than America, which I think a lot of Europeans are like that too. Like even as your continent falls into austerity politics and xenophobia, right-wing bickering over immigration, you grow increasingly incapable of great works projects or even maintaining your basic existing infrastructure, and then you're still arguing you're better than us. Dude, you're on the exact same road as us. The exact same road. We're all in the same, we're all controlled by the same capital masters. It's not, your partitioning of responsibility here only worsens the problem because you give people the impression there's something innate and fundamental about America that's causing this, as opposed to it being a product of, capitalism, which you are too. I had that feeling after your orc arc, it irked me. Yeah, or when I remember when I said when there were Russians who were trying to flee into the Baltic states as refugees when the war began, and there were some like freak NAFO liberals being like they should stay in Russia and fix what they caused. And I said those people were psychopaths, and some people in chat were like, "Well, we don't want Russians in our country." And I was like, "Wait, you guys are just chauvinists. Like you people are psychopaths. You only like me because I like Ukraine, but I like Ukraine because I like democracy and dislike tyranny. You like Ukraine because you think Russians are like fundamentally evil or something. You're hateful. You could be the Russians. You're no different from them." How would Europe fare without the US for supplies and arms? I don't know what to I don't know what to tell you guys, man. Like we're balking over the 1.5 trillion Pentagon budget that Trump is proposing, but the difference between the current budget for the Pentagon and the budget Trump is proposing is less than the difference between the current Bundeswehr budget and the budget that Merz is proposing in 2029. Like, you are defending a greater than Trump proposal level increase in military spending off of insane bullshit, warmongering, fearful, like Russia's going to overwhelm us any day talking points. What if Russia does blitzkrieg? Well, why didn't they do it like to Kiev? Are you judging people for categorically framing Russians as evil while you sometimes categorically frame Israelis as evil? You can complain about what you perceive as hypocrisy, but my actual positions on essentialism are extremely well documented, And if you actually ask me, hey, do you think that Israelis are fundamentally evil? The easy and obvious answer is no, though the country has a cultural disposition towards evil. There's nothing innate or fundamental about anyone anywhere at any point in time. The problem is, those beliefs were not shared by many of the people calling Russians orcs, who actually were unironically arguing that Russians are fundamentally evil. So I guess you could say that there's a semantic similarity which betrays different positions on a similar issue, but I'm happy to provide clarification when necessary. My problem was not that people were being blasé in their condemnation of Russian culture. My problem was that a lot of these people were actually like bigoted, like real bigoted against Russians. Like if Israelis wanted to flee conscription for the IDF in a Western European country, I would never say they shouldn't do that. Like I would always be, I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude, get the fuck out of there. If I had someone like a news article, 1 million Israeli youth flee Israel to flee IDF conscription. They go live in Germany, Italy, whatever. I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, get the fuck out of there. But there were people saying that with Russian refugees. They were like, no, get back to your country. And that's the difference, right? I don't actually believe in any essentialist critique of people because of the country they live in. As fun as it is to say that Israel's a demon country. Ukrainian soldiers saying NATO isn't ready for the style of war with Russia. I don't care. What does that have to do with anything that I'm saying? What Ukrainian soldiers say about NATO training? Okay. Here's an article from 2021 saying from a Russian soldier saying that you know, they could overwhelm Europe in an instant if they wanted to. Whatever. I'm not going to break through to you guys. Can we move on? You're not changing tankies' minds. They're not tankies. They're European chauvinists. They're the opposite. They're not tankies. They're trainees. I don't know. NATO would not be able to defend itself against a full-scale Russian drone attack. No country can defend itself against a full-scale drone attack. No country can. No country on Earth can or will ever be able to defend themselves against thousands of drones entering their airspace out of nowhere. That's how drones work. Ukraine can? No, the fuck they can't. Ukraine gets hit by drones. What do you mean? Oh, sorry, have no drones made contact in Ukraine? Ukraine doesn't get hit? That's new. That's no casualties on Ukraine's side due to drones? How interesting. Not even Ukraine can. They've literally said even on a good day, they still struggle against drone strikes. Yeah, that's just how war works now. Like, why am I arguing with chat when chat is like a bunch of people just unironically made the argument that Ukraine doesn't get hit by drones anymore? I don't know why the fuck I don't know. Why am I having this conversation? Where are you guys getting your news from? There is no country and no technology that can provide air defenses that would allow you to defend consistently against sustained drone strikes. Drones cost much less than interceptor missiles or any existing widespread anti-drone technology, with the exception, I guess, of some of those laser things people talk about, but we don't have those like broadly across the board, and maybe when we do, drones will be less of a threat, but right now we don't. Like the idea that because Russia could overwhelm European airspace with drones, so they could do that with any country. I'm losing my mind. I'm not even the streamer. Can we move on, please? What a waste of a good resurrection day, honestly. Ukrainian air defense forces neutralized 90 out of 97 drones launched by Russian forces in attacks in Ukraine starting in the evening. Damn, sounds like they got overwhelmed. 7 made it through. Also, the article that somebody linked said that a swarm of thousands of drones would overwhelm NATO airspace, which would also happen to Ukraine. That's what Israelis say about their defense rates too. There's just no way to consistently defend against all drones that could potentially hit your territory. At least not yet, not with current technology. Please move on to topics you have knowledge on. Military tactics ain't it, thanks. You don't get to be smarmy when your entire chat history today is whining that I'm right and you're wrong and you can't even explain why. Like, I'm sorry, your media diet on YouTube is hurting you, okay? People act smarmy when they don't have an actual argument to make. That's why I've spent like 45 minutes up here defending my point, and you've spent it complaining from the chat, okay? You're speaking from the lower position. I have the high ground. Mad, 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 mad. That person did the same shit to me. I gave them an argument. Instead of responding, they said, Google it. Yeah. I can see.
French General. The warning came from French General Fabien Mondon, chief of the defense staff, standing here on the right, a close ally of President Macron. Earlier this week, General Mondon told local mayors that they need to start preparing for all eventualities, even loss of life in the case of a war.
If our country falters because it is not prepared to accept, let's be honest, to lose its children, if we are not ready for that, then we are at risk.
A message that left this local
Is this not, like, insane to anyone?
councillor reeling.
It was not the right time or place. It's just going to frighten people. Yes, we should plan ahead and recruit, but we're not going to go alarm our children.
For others, though, it's a sound warning.
It's a real
Our leadership is paranoid as fuck. More accurately, your leadership is interested in getting people to invest in military stocks as fuck.
concern for the future.
Like, Bush didn't invade Iraq because Bush actually thought they had WMDs, you know?
So I think we do indeed need to prepare, and we also need to make it known to foreign countries that could attack us that we're ready.
It's not the first time that the general has taken a stand. He'd already told lawmakers that France needs to prepare for a war with Russia in the next 3 or 4 years.
Insane. Like, that the Russian forces would cross into, like, oh, they're gonna all of a sudden activate Gear 5 and cross through Ukraine, Poland, Germany.
As Russia itself is preparing. Positions criticized this morning by part of the left.
I don't think it's the job of the Army Chief of Staff to go in front of elected officials and give that sort of speech, a speech I'd describe as political.
Yeah.
The centrist bloc, though, believes the general's warning is legitimate.
The job of the military is to enlighten us about the risks and prepare for the worst. So he's doing his job.
The message, in any case, is
absolutely
struggling.
not the job of generals to go in front of the media and start fear-mongering about how we need to prepare for our children to die in war. That is absolutely not the job of generals. They are managers. They are bureaucrats whose job it is to run the military. They do not get to make political decisions about funding or about the nation's priorities.
To make inroads with the French public. The government, meanwhile, has published a guide for a crisis, such as an external aggression or natural catastrophe. Among other things, it advises the French to keep an emergency kit containing essentials like food, water, and first aid, as well as a battery-powered radio.
I just don't think people understand how dangerous and harmful this kind of fear-mongering is. You don't want a war with, like, every Western European country's generals are clamoring about how, like, you know, war is imminent anytime now, more military spending, we're all gonna die. Like, this is not how you build a peaceful world.
On the right, a close ally of President Macron. Earlier this week, General Mondon told local mayors that they need to start preparing for all eventualities.
Ugh. Sorry, I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page. All right. Currently reading the Vosh Wikipedia page. Don't do that. All right. Holy shit, please stop fear-mongering about war. We're all going to die. It is literally the day of resurrection. Jesus Christ would not want this. There we go. Very good, very good. Can we fearmonger about fearmongering? No, I'm doing that. That's my job. What about potential increase in aid to allies for more arms manufacturing? That's different to what's being talked about, though. The fear-mongering and the conscription stuff is totally unnecessary. If Germany was just saying, like, we're going to reopen these arms factories or whatever so that we can supply Ukraine, that'd be fine. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Can we fearmonger about the U.S. causing nuclear war? Well, we've all seen the Trump Truth Social post, right? I mean, it isn't my stream title. It was really funny, man. Trump Truth Social. It is the stream title. That is true. You all should have read the homework. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. On Easter Day, from the President of the United States. If European powers are going to be fear-mongering over anything, it really should be about America. We're a much greater threat to global peace than Russia. He even said what time we're doing it. Yeah, though apparently he moved back the date shortly after. Haven't you said Muslims are closer to Christianity than Protestants anyway? Than evangelicals, but yes. I don't even know what to make of this. All I've really seen is like sane washing, you know? The media, they don't just... I think you're engaging in journalistic malpractice if your coverage of this Truth Social post doesn't have just a screenshot of it, you know? Like if you're paraphrasing it, I think you're lying essentially. Here, show me. React to it. React for my pleasure.
He has just threatened Iran in extraordinary graphic terms, giving the Iranian regime just over a day to either make a deal, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or face hell. If your children are watching, be warned, the president did not use polite language. Quote, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. We should note that destroying civilian power infrastructure is generally considered to constitute a war crime under international law, though the president could argue that the infrastructure has dual use and also is utilized by Iran's military.
To break this all down, we have an excellent panel of reporters. Margaret Talev with Axios, Zolan Kano-Youngs with the New York Times, and Mariana Sotomayor with the Washington Post. Good morning to you all. Okay, wow. That was this just happened. Yeah. Trump is making he's been making these threats repeatedly he has not been carrying through with some of these threats, but he's been talking about going after the civilian infrastructure, electric, the people that they presumably want to help here, the civilians in Iran who would be hurt by going after the power plants, the water supply, and the rest. What do you make of this threat?
The president is either emboldened by the U.S. ability to rescue this American, or very angry at the fact that this American has been apparently seriously injured, or just very angry that gas prices are really high and the American public's roundly against.
Apparently, Trump hasn't been seen in public in a while either. Not since his address back a couple days ago. He's skipped all 3 scheduled Easter masses he was meant to attend today. Went to the hospital, right? That was a rumor, but I don't think that's true, no. He's probably just having another stroke out.
The war, but
maybe all of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we have seen this sort of toggle between saying this is going to be wrapped up in a couple of weeks and escalating threats, and this is, I mean, certainly the most over-the-top language we've seen so far. It also comes on Easter. There are a lot of things to unpack right here, but this is a social media communication by a sitting U.S. president. It is laden with the F-bomb and invokes hell and all kinds of stuff.
I mean, he's been yesterday.
They don't even have anything to say about it, I guess. It's all like decorum policing, right? It's like civility politics. I can't believe our president would say this. It's not like, because the only sane reaction to something like this to go like, oh yeah, we have like a mad king, obviously. Yeah. Like what, that's like, what else do you say about it? You know?
He had said that, this came after yesterday, where he said that, remember when I gave Iran 10 days to make a deal or open up the Hormuz Strait? Time is running out, 48 hours before all hell will rain down. And then today he went even further. You'll be living in hell, he said. So this is my question, because he has been all over the place about the Strait of Hormuz. Just before you jump in here, even Wednesday night, this is what Trump said about whether the Strait of Hormuz was really in the U.S. interest, opening that back up, and whether that was a chief demand of his.
The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. The countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. Go to the strait and just take it, protect it. Use it for yourselves.
I mean, so what is it, Zolan? I mean, is that the objective now? Because he's been saying we don't need. He said it on a primetime address. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. And now he's saying open it, or there'll be a living hell.
The president has been issuing conflicting messages throughout this more than a month.
Just realize I'm super bored by these guys. All the media succeeds in doing here is making the truth more boring. I wonder if Fox News. I wonder if Fox News has mentioned it at all. What decade is it? That is like a very 90s hairstyle, right? I respect it. I don't see any coverage of this on Fox News. It's all just yeah, it's all just covering the fucking race to get that F-15 weapons master out of Iran. Mysteriously, only Israeli media is talking about this, but Israel is waiting for the U.S. to start bombing energy infrastructure in Iran. My guess is they'll do it regardless of negotiations. Yeah, makes sense. Israel's not going to stop. The American president has again extended the deadline for Tehran, and Jerusalem is waiting for final approval of the U.S. administrations before carrying out attacks of this type. Yeah, makes sense. Kuwait's power water plants damaged as Iran keeps attacking Gulf states. Keep it up, King. Supreme Leader. Not CNN, not Fox, not Reuters talking about it. Only Israeli news. Makes sense. Wasn't Israeli news the first one to break the 15 talking points or demands that America had for Iran as well? Even though they were demands that were issued by America to Iran, for some reason, Israeli media was the first one to break it. That was cool. I like that. That doesn't make me feel weird at all. Does Trump write his Truth social posts himself? Guarantee you he does. Yeah, for sure. There's no fucking way anyone else is writing this. Fox News article on the Truth Social post. Oh, an article. And naturally the title doesn't, you know, include the praise Allah. Oh, no, here. Okay, here it is. It's in the body of the article. And then Trump immediately said there's a good chance of negotiations coming through on Monday. Up and down and up and down. How isn't Israel just a pile of rubble at this point? Well, no joke. I mean, in addition to the fact that Iran just doesn't have that many munitions to send relative to Israel, Iran's mostly targeting, like, essential infrastructure, not just random civilians. How are oil prices doing? No, the markets haven't reopened. What about futures? Still at 112, man. 112 for crude futures. God damn. Only going to go up. Yeesh. Only Trump has the strength to say praise Allah on Easter. It's because he's seen, well, you can't complain. He's seen so many progressives say that praise Allah is literally just praise God, and it's the same God, you know? Praise Allah is just Arabic for the same sentiment. He knows that because he's woke. Iran hits Israel every day. A few days ago, they hit sewage plants in Tel Aviv, and the city streets were flooded with shit. Like they're not normally. Damage the sewer lines caused by Iranian missile bombardment on Tel Aviv. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I bet it stinks in there. Poop country. I haven't seen this. Western media has been downplaying the damage done to Israel and the Gulf states. There's probably like a White House squelch order on it. They only play up damage being done to Israel when they want to fearmonger or justify attacks being directed against Iran. But when it's just about like covering the extent of the war playing out, I think I actually saw an Ezra Klein. I didn't watch it myself because I don't have an unlimited tolerance for pain. But I saw an Ezra Klein podcast title, which was effectively, "Is Iran winning the war?" Which I think is interesting. Interesting that we're getting to that point. Is Iran winning?
What is the status of America's war with Iran? If you are trying to follow it through what President Trump is saying, you are going to be, I have become, hopelessly lost. Trump, within a single day, will veer wildly between... Joe?
Thanks so much for having me.
So, I find the state of the war in Iran confusing, even as somebody who's been covering it. I hear Donald Trump talking daily now about how the war only has 2 to 3 more weeks in it. Negotiations are going great. You know, this is almost over. And I also see that we're moving about 10,000 more troops into the area alongside other military.
Jesus Christ. Whenever somebody like Ezra Klein does an interview on a foreign policy expert, I want to see their credentials. Guess what? Served on the U.S. Secretary of State's policy planning staff under Condoleezza Rice and worked as a Middle East advisor for ExxonMobil. Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite liberal. Not a joke. Condoleezza Rice, ExxonMobil. Perfect. Every time I Google, I worry, will it be boring? Will she just be like an academic? Nope. They never are. They're always consultants and they're always neocons. It's always the deep state.
Assets. What should I believe here? Which of these should I be tracking?
Well, I think at this point we have to be tracking both the language that the Trump administration and the president himself are using, especially on social media. But we also have to be watching what's happening on the ground because, what we've seen even in the buildup to the war is that the president has often said one thing and done something different. And that's something that the Iranians are well aware.
Keep in mind, the systemic critique being offered here in this episode is not that the war with Iran is a bad thing, but rather that Trump is incompetent and therefore doing it incorrectly, and that it would be better if a Democrat was in charge so the Democrat could do it correctly.
Of and very much prepared for. And I think he's probably getting different opinions. And it's not entirely clear that President Trump himself has decided precisely what he wants to do.
Program.
Well, the latest that we've heard is that the U.S. assesses that about 30% of Iran's missile capabilities have been taken out by strikes. They've also expended some of the rest of their missiles in their own strikes. But we believe that they still have both the missiles, the launchers, and again, even if the production facilities have been destroyed, they have the capability to rebuild at some point in time. We have seen the Israelis in particular take wider strikes clearly aimed at undermining the larger economic infrastructure in Iran, whether it was at the South Pars gas field or more recently the steel manufacturing plants around the country. I think that's all intended to make the road harder and longer toward reconstituting a really industrial scale ballistic missile program. But the Iranians have also been very calculated in how they've used those missiles. They appear to be improving their accuracy over the course of this war, and they still have the capability to both strike their neighbors and Israel with ballistic missiles, and they have an even larger and probably more flexible capability when it comes to drone construction.
If you listen to Secretary of Defense of War, Pete Hegseth, in his commentary, we're always pretty close to destroying Iran's ability to fire missiles, to have offensive capability. Trump himself talks constantly about obliterating their ability to project power. We don't seem to have been able to do it. Why is that? Why is this proven militarily so hard to kind of shut Iran's capability to threaten infrastructure throughout the region, to threaten ships coming through the strait?
We have destroyed a lot of Iranian capabilities, but they have more than we fully appreciated. And they've also been able to both hide and reconstitute some of those capabilities that were already hit. I think that kind of resilience was something that was not fully appreciated by the Trump administration or by...
Anyway, I'm just grimly, I don't know. Trump's insane Truth Social post. A little bit more interesting to me, not Ezra Klein, but my preferred liberal podcast outlet, slightly less liberal, more progressive than Ezra Klein. No, the way Ezra Klein talks is super annoying. It's kind of like a microcosm of his entire career, which is that he says banal and incorrect things, but he does so with the affect of elite Northeastern intellectual, like an Ivy, it's a performative expression. The New York Times, and you're listening to NPR. You get that, like, the gravitas of an enlightened, intellectual. But the stuff he says is fucking stupid. I do hate it. I hate it very much. It might not even be intentional. It probably is, but it might not be. I hate him anyway. So Anyway, my preferred podcast, Pod Saves, which has been going on their own black pill arc lately. In the ongoing effort to make an effigy out of Hassan Piker.
Through your office, you said, and it's just one person, but it's part of a large group of, I think, people that have this point of view, that you wouldn't say go on like Hassan Piker's stream because he's said some heinous and stupid shit in the past. But to me, I would expect you'd be like chomping at the bit to say, you know what, of course I'm going to go there because I want to represent this point of view in a place that doesn't normally hear it. And I want to talk about the ways in which I think some of the things he said are offensive. The same way you might want to go confront somebody on Fox News, or you've met with, talk to Newt Gingrich, and he said crazy shit in the past too. So maybe part of the way out of this is for someone like you to go to those spaces, even if there have been things that are offensive to people.
Yeah. So first of all, somehow we're having a much more deeper and personal conversation than I thought. So I'm going to be very candid with you.
Gotcha.
Got me, but in a very good way.
I always want to talk to you about deep things.
No, I appreciate that. And
I do not think America deserves 9/11 as controversial in 2026. No, I really do think that the average Democrat, if given like any context on that statement at all, would probably at the very least understand it, you know, if not agree. It's for one, we're a long way out from 9/11, and for two, the point is correct with if listened to, you know, the engagement with out of context sound bites. Like, okay, you can make literally anything say bad or sound bad.
That's why I appreciate you, frankly. So here's the candor. I had no idea who this person was until a few days ago. I never heard their name.
That's going around, I think, yeah.
And I still haven't heard him speak even. I haven't.
So Cory Booker said that he would not go on Hassan's show, even though he's never heard Hassan. Really? He conceded that without even... Okay.
Heard anything he's done. The man sitting over there is my comms director.
It's almost as if there's a bunch of focus on one random streamer and it's not really the right way to have a big debate. Yeah.
That's my point.
The coordinated effort from the Third Way, billionaire-backed pedophile pack, and other affiliated groups. What's that other group? Searchlight, Spotlight? I forget what they're called. Those people.
Like, so my comms director said to me, "Oh, you're getting asked this question. Would you go on the show?" And I'm like, "Well, who is this person?" And all he did, the totality of this person he gave me,
right there, that guy.
I don't. He's not on camera, so I don't feel like I'm implicating him. The totality of what he did to me was show me 4 or 5 of the most outrageous things.
And they're pretty outrageous.
They are. I said, okay, well, whoa,
right.
Let's give whatever you saw officially coming out of my office. So here's a couple things, and I have this experience. I don't want to say daily. My wife experienced it.
It's insane. I feel like the Third Way people lost this war so quickly. The idea that Cory Booker can't even substantiate his reflexive disavowal that he made a couple of days ago. Like, there was clearly pressure from Third Way for to get all these people on board with the Fuck Hassan Piker campaign, because he kind of represents the Democrat constituency's interest in populism and anti-corporatism and anti-Israeli sentiment. And like Cory Booker isn't even willing to stand by that position now.
Last night in the airport, as somebody was wanting to take a moment as I come off this very long flight, and to scream at me, I always tell people, give me a Mother's Day card, please, because I get called you mother often, and it's from people on wings of both parties.
It'd really be a Father's Day card in that sense.
Well, but calling me a mother...
Well, you're not the mother.
Oh, you're right. I never thought about that analysis here.
Any kind of card would do, I think.
I appreciate that.
It's all been going very well. Trey Easton, he's with the Searchlight Institute, one of the more obnoxious fake, Democrat centrist constituency groups. All the big tent and Hassan Piker discourse needs to conclude by 5 p.m. on the East Coast. We've all been very annoying. No one's convinced anyone of anything, and the weather's too nice to keep this up. Thank you for your attention to this matter. But they were like gunning on this for days prior, you know? Dude, there's so much shit. I just like this big disorganized blob of the most unrepresentative pack or deep state aligned so-called Democrats just losing their mind about Hassan. And it's not about Hassan, of course. It's not actually about Hassan. It's just about Israel. All of the people who are mad at Hassan are Zionists. There are no non-Zionists who are mad at Hassan. It's 100% them. They're just trying to use him as an effigy to try to castigate and distance Democratic politicians from the increasingly popular anti-Zionist position within their base. Look at this, man. Jesus Christ. I like this one a lot. This one was very good. From John Podhoritz. Hassan Piker would likely support Tim Miller's murder on the grounds that he is a gay man with children, and then support the murder of his children as he supports the murder of mine for being Jews. Nice going, Tim. You've sold your soul. Enjoy the cash. And this is... You might remember this tweet. Do you remember this tweet? Guy who's concerned about anti-Semitism? I remember this tweet. This one was real good. I can't read it out loud because I'm not Trump.
Just at this point that the Democrat Party as an institution is quiet about Israel, neutral about Israel, you now have a growing sort of movement within the party, even within the Democrats in Congress, where they are hostile.
This is insane. I've not been on Twitter much, so I didn't see how insane it's gotten. No, it's really crazy, and it's all coming from like third way type people, totally unrepresentative of the. You'll notice that these centrist PACs, these like deep state consultant groups, they never talk with real people ever. Ever. Like, there are so many politicians and political causes out there where support for them is built off this sentiment of like, we're listening to the common man. But those people never even try to do it because they know that if they went from door to door and asked Democrats, like, how do you feel about Israel? They know the answers they would get. They're aware of the fact that they're running against the overwhelming majority of the Democrat constituency. They know exactly what they're doing. You know, they don't believe in democracy.
To Israel, and you even have some members that are supportive of the terrorists of Hamas. How do you make any sense of this?
Yeah, no, I mean it's crazy. I mean, my God, you have many of my parties. They're proud to do events with like that Hassan Piker. Now, this is the individual that just recently said that America deserved 9/11. And that they said that Hamas is
Recently?
1,000% better than Israel.
True.
And he doesn't care about the rapes and cause Jews inbred and say these outlandish thing. And then like
notice how he also doesn't know anything about Hassan and doesn't know the quotes either. They're all just running off lists given to them by Mossad, man.
people like the New York Times give these glowing kinds of profile. They don't mention any of that. I mean, he's become such a raging anti-Semite. You know,
Semite.
Even the guy that has a Nazi tattoo bailed on doing an event with him. I mean, Democrats have to decide.
Oh, that was the PV event.
Whose side are you in? Are you proud to stand with that kinds of an individual, or stand with Israel? And then
Israel, fucking brain damage, man. That Tim Miller bit was in response to this interview between on the Bulwark, Tim Miller and Sarah Longwell, who was a Republican up until 5 minutes ago.
Should he be in the tent or out of the tent is a question of like, okay, who is this guy? What does he believe? What does he talk about on what is a relatively popular streaming site? And I'll just give you a flavor of some of the things that pop up from Hassan's critics that I have seen and that I think are quite terrible. So America deserved 9/11, dude. On China, he says, we hyper-focus on the social repression or the civil liberties, or not even civil liberties necessarily, but free speech and things like that. But in terms of good governance, there's a lot we can learn from the way they perform out there. At least they get results. And he has a lot of...
What an insanely unobjectionable statement. This woman is a neoconservative and was one of the big, like, never Trump Republicans, you know? Her job is to make sure that America remains subservient to Israel, whether or not a Democrat or a Republican is in power. So Trump has gone off, you know, the deep end. He's haywire, whatever. She wants to bring things back to the sensible neoconservatism of, I don't know, Bush or Reagan or whatever.
Very pro-China takes. There's one that he says was a little bit taken out of context, but he says, doesn't matter if the fucking rapes happened on October 7th. That doesn't change the dynamic for me.
And it's always just the same quotes. It's always the same. There's no substantial engagement with the ideology underlining this. I've never seen any one of these detractors talk about like why Hassan might say America deserved 9/11. You know, like they don't engage with the underlying ideology of the point. It's just quote farming.
This much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people can't contend with. Like the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets. I don't know what that means. He says Hamas is 1,000 times better than...
She's literally just reading off a list she's never read before. Why would she just read out a quote she doesn't know the context for and then go, oh, I don't know that one. She's reading from this list for the first time. I'm outraged by this list that I'm just now reading through.
Israel. On Hezbollah, he said, overall, what's my favorite flag? Hezbollah. Look it up. I'm not even kidding. It's actually a dope flag. It's got an AK on it and a fucking hand holding it up. On Dan Crenshaw losing an eye in Afghanistan. What the fuck is wrong with this?
She knows so little about the world, she can't even explain why it's problematic to say that Hezbollah's flag is dope. You can literally see her reading the list. Yeah, no, I know. It's just like, it's crazy how manufactured this discourse is, you know? The Democratic consultancy class, like, desperately raging against the overwhelming and unavoidable, really, reality that their voter base is not pro-Israel and is not going to be pro-Israel again, you know?
Dude, I also dislike Dan Crenshaw, but I would not say this. Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because of some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their dick? On Israel being full of inbreds, you are left.
Miller can't even take it serious. It's like so, it's like a joke.
The country that is packed to the fucking gills with the most inbred, uneducated, ultra-nationalist, rabid, Haredi population. On Russia's annexation of Crimea. Annexation of Crimea was...
Why are they all reading off the same script? Because Third Way gave them all the same talking points, and Third Way is pushed by Zionist billionaires. You know, it's all Mossad shit. It's all Hasbara. It's the same stuff.
Absolutely a justifiable annexation. What do you call Crimea? I call it part of Russian territory, bitch. I call it Crimea River.
Like, wouldn't it make more sense to go through these talking points one by one and talk about why they're bad or what they represent, I guess? Like, let me put it this way. If I wanted to talk about how Nick Fuentes shouldn't be allowed, like, let's say it's 2 years from now and we're having a conversation about whether or not Nick Fuentes belongs in like a Big Tent anti-Israel populist political group, and I was arguing against that. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to argue about his ideology and the stuff that he believes and like how we got to this point rather than just listing out a bunch of quotes, you know? Like, wouldn't that be a very flimsy and insubstantial way of criticizing him? If I was just like, he said these things, 6 million cookies in the oven. Like, it wouldn't really mean anything.
Russian River. The annexation of Crimea was absolutely a justifiable annexation. On black people. Black people care about the border. I don't give a fuck what black people care about. Black people care about this. Black people care about that. Like, shut the fuck up. That's not how politics work. And then, I don't know if this is I don't know how to, I'm not going to rank these, but this one's a real doozy. Date rape is better if it happens to rich women. If you have these fucking millionaire, billionaire WASP fail sons, at least taking them out of other...
I don't know the context for that one.
Colleges so they can only do date rape to other billionaire, millionaire failed daughters is in some respects, you know, from a utilitarian perspective, of course, a little bit better. Okay, Piker told off a listener who condemned the massacre on October 7th, a
Is she ever going to stop? Is the whole clip just her reading off the list for the first time?
Bloodthirsty, violent pig dog suck my dick. Okay, so that's the guy. That's the guy. I do not think any Democrat should look to include him in their coalition. And here's the thing. You mentioned my book at the top. I just wrote a whole book that is going to come out in September.
That's just all these people are, man. These consultants sucking their own dicks. They don't pay attention to the world. They don't pay attention to politics. They write their books. They all get New York Times bestselling because it's really easy to get to the top of the list if you're even remotely connected. It's always the book. They're all the same guy. Their whole life they've spent working for consultants. Look at her career. Okay, look at her career. Neoconservative political consultant, publisher of the conservative news and opinion website The Bulwark, former member of the Republican Party. She founded the Republican Accountability Project during the 2020 and 2024 presidential elections. Right. A graduate from Kenyon College in 2002. She worked for the Intercollegiate Studies Institute, a conservative group in Delaware. In 2005, she moved to D.C., where she found a job with Richard Berman, a Republican lobbyist and later PR expert who runs several industry-funded nonprofit lobbying and PR organizations. Worked at Berman and Company and became senior VP and comms director, leading media campaigns on a wide range of public policy issues. Their whole lives are just running in the D.C. swamp. These people are the swamp. Managing director of the American Beverage Institute, a trade association set up by Berman that lobbies on behalf of the alcohol industry, such as arguing the risks of drunk driving have been exaggerated and laws that have been adopted to reduce it are ineffective or inappropriate, and oppose the lowering of the blood alcohol concentration limit for driving under the influence in Utah. These people are like cartoon characters, man. Jesus Christ. It's like a joke. Like, you wouldn't believe it. Like, oh, that centrist consultant arguing against Hassan, she's a lifelong Republican who's argued against drunk driving laws. It sounds like a joke. You would, like, oh, okay. Drunk driving's fun, Lamau. We're not talking about whether or not it's fun. We're talking about whether, come on. That's such an alien position to hold as freak shit. Yeah, because, and this is how it is with all of her positions, she doesn't actually hold that position. She worked on behalf of the American Beverage Institute, lobbying for the alcohol industry. Like everything else these people say, they don't actually believe it. They're just paid to defend it. It's all kayfabe for them. It's not sincere position holding. They don't internally defend the position. They're paid to say it, so they say it. They're actors. All of them are actors. And now she's doing the same thing for Israel. Probably not the first time. You're literally right. None of them believe in anything anymore. I don't understand how we reached a point in this country where it became like accepted or normal for basically everyone in political communication to be a consultant. These people are paid liars. It's literally their job to lie for a position. That is what they're paid to do. That's not implicit. It's explicit. Why the fuck? Anyway, let's finish the damn video.
300 pages. It's called How to Eat an Elephant One Voter at a Time. It is 300 pages about how you build a winning coalition. There's not a single paragraph.
Build a winning coalition from a consultant whose main career highlight is losing control of the Republican Party to Donald Trump and then fleeing to the Democrat Party to try to do the same thing to it.
That recommends cozying up to people like Hassan Piker.
Wow,
I talk a lot
your
about
book
Big
says
Tents.
so?
I talk a lot about a pro-democracy coalition.
Wow.
Here's the thing. Hassan Piker doesn't actually belong in the pro-democracy coalition. He's an illiberal guy. He's a China-Russia sympathizer who hates women, hates Israel. Like, he's all the toxic things. And I think, and I was listening to you last night, and I was like, I think my biggest problem with it, because I agree with you in some places, my biggest problem with it is I felt like you were soft selling.
Every accusation's a confession? Yeah, seriously.
It's like, what? We're picking this fight with him now? I'm just like, I could think of 1,000 other things I would rather Democrats pick fights about now. Like, why him right now?
Because he's making their life harder. It is people like Hassan.
They're making their life harder.
Hold on. People like Hassan.
I appreciate her honesty.
Are making Democrats who want to take a stand against this war, right? And who want to probably take a stand against the way that Trump is just sort of like, you know, doing whatever Bibi tells him. They're trying to figure out how to do it in a way where they don't imperil the safety of Jewish people in this country. They're trying to do it in a way that is, they don't want to be anti-Semitic. And I'll tell you why.
Hasbara, servant of Israel. Hassan is making it harder for Democrats to not be anti-Semitic. What the fuck are you talking about? Literally, what the fuck are you talking about?
Why Hassan is so dangerous is that what it does is it's exactly what Trump does. It's exactly what Nick Fuentes does and Tucker does. It takes maybe legitimate rage about something, and then it gives them an enemy to put it on.
Classic white moderate stuff, by the way, you know? White guy in 1960. Oh yeah, I believe that the Negro should have peace and freedom in some point in time, but right now it is too temperate a season to be introducing that. By rushing your cause, all you do is hasten its demise. Like, with this rhetoric has been employed by these same kinds of people forever, basically. Forever. Oh, ever and ever and ever. The difference is that among within the American population in 1960, they were less willing to see the end of Jim Crow laws. They were less supportive of the Civil Rights Act than America is now opposed to Israel. The anti-Zionist position today is far more popular than the pro-Civil Rights Act position back in 1960. Martin Luther King Jr. was fighting uphill against a stronger oppositional coalition. Within the Democratic Party, Israel is like minus 40 in popularity. It's like it's 60, 20, 40, or like 20, 30 undecided, whatever. It's in that ballpark. The difference is huge. This woman would have supported the anti-Civil Rights Act protests.
Gives them an out group to blame for it. And I think you have to be so careful with that so that you're not doing that, which starts with condemning the people who hold the same position as you for reasons that are bad, for reasons that are hostile to Jews.
Here's where I disagree. Totally disagree. It starts with condemning the fucking war and condemning Israel and condemning Bibi and condemning Trump and being passionate and clear about it. Because then what happens? Then, if you have the credibility then with the voters who were anti-war voters, who were unhappy about the way that they see the bipartisan establishment, and they thought Trump was...
The real way that Hassan's making their jobs harder is that Hassan reminds them that they could have it better. Hassan is a reminder that the furthest left you can go is not mild criticism of Netanyahu while continuing to support like unrestricted arms funding for Israel. Hassan's a reminder that you can do good things that the Democratic Party just doesn't want to do.
Going to be their savior from this, that there was this blob in DC, and no matter which party is in charge, we all get into stupid wars. They thought Trump was their way out of this, and now they're like, Trump's doing the same shit that all the other ones did that we said we didn't want it. He's doing it worse. And so now if the Democrats go to those people and go on those shows, they should be on those shows. Democrats should be begging Joe Rogan or Theo, whoever, to have them on right now. They should be on Manosphere shows being like, I told you, this was stupid. I didn't want to do this. This war is dumb. Our relationship with Israel is too tight. We should be reevaluating it. We should not be getting dog walked into this war. By the way, MBS also sucks, right? Like, you can do that in a way that's not anti-Semitic because it's what has happened.
Yep. No, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not even like an uncontroversial position within the Democratic constituency now. Among Democrats, only 17% sympathize more with Israel, 67% sympathize more with Palestinians. That's insane. That's more than I thought. That's a minus 60 sympathies. Sorry, minus 50. I can't do math. I'm gay. I suck cock. Minus 50. Minus 50 on sympathies. It's an unbelievable swing. But if you talk to Democrat politicians, Democrat consultants, they all act like it's this crazy, it's like this insanely controversial position they don't want to touch on. You know what I mean? If you look at Democrats who are aged like 18 to 45, the split is even more stark. Yeah. Ages 18 to 34, Democrat and Republican. This is not just Democrats. Ages 18 to 34, Israel is also minus 50 in positivity. Minus 50 in positivity, not even just for Democrats. This is like a not even, it is going to end up being a 90-10 issue in the Democratic Party. Like, support for Israel will start to become as uncommon as support for anti-miscegenation laws. That sounds like a joke, but we're actually getting there. Like, not even a joke. I would be willing to bet right now that support for Israel within 18 to 35 Democrats is about as common as support for anti-miscegenation laws in America broadly. So for a Democrat who's trying to appeal to Democrat voters to go about supporting Israel is about as sensible as you trying to get elected by supporting anti-miscegenation laws. I'm overstating the percentages, but only by a little bit. That's how marginal pro-Israeli sentiment is within Democrats, especially young Democrats.
Identifying liberals don't have this opinion. This is a unique opinion. Most self-identifying liberals, as Tim is trying to point out to her, have completely dropped Israel. Like, they have a very, very...
What's anti-miscegenation? Miscegenation is an old-fangled word for race mixing.
Antagonistic opinion of Israel. You know what I mean? So her anger, her resentment in this moment is actually stemming from the fact that, like, it's not just that liberalism is failing, It certainly is. But also, she's worried that she might not have space in the party. Okay?
She doesn't.
I think that's what it is. She's worried that a party that has me in the tent is going to not cater to her.
The funny thing is, Sarah Longwell, the woman who we just saw, who argued against drunk driving laws in the past, did the same thing Cory Booker did, where she admitted she doesn't care about anything or has any real positions and is just following the money. Look, the dumbest thing about all this is that I didn't and don't care about Piker. Really? You went on a podcast with Tim Dillon on The Bulwark. You argued passionately that the tent has no room for him, but you don't care? Well, I know you don't. I know you don't, because you don't believe in anything. None of these people believe in a single fucking thing. They have no beliefs. I'm sorry, Tim Miller, not Tim Dillon. Two different people. Tim Miller, thank you. Piker never comes up in focus groups with voters as someone they're following the way Rogan or Tucker or Candace does. I don't think he's singularly making an impact in politics in any way commensurate with the attention he's getting. She's just admitting, like, it's all just a job to her. The actual positions people have, the democracy itself, she does not care. Insane. It's just so, it's frustrating to me that, like, the Democratic Party is being led by people but who have openly acknowledged that they don't care about democracy. Like, the third way people do not care. Guys, the third way group, the third way billionaire pedophile pack, literally said that they would rather Republicans win than a Hassan Piker aligned Democrat Party win. They literally said that. They're looking at what's happening to the country right now at getting raped to death by the Republicans, people to whom law does not matter at all. And they said, yeah, we'd rather have more than that than this guy who's anti-Israel. That's how much they hate America. They despise America. They are worse than Republicans. At least Republicans have a consistent, coherent ideology. It's consistently inconsistent. You know the kind of evil they're going to run in, right? But the third way groups, they're just as evil as the Republicans, but they fucking lie to you. Not in predictable ways like the Republicans, but in like weird, like deep state, psyop, controlled opposition ways. I can't stand that shit. I hate it more than anything else. I hate it more than anything else in life. I hate them so goddamn much. Yeah, I would prefer a wolf to a wolf in sheep's clothing. Absolutely, 100%. At least Republicans admit what they are, or at least you can identify it pretty easily. Trey Easton is a former Fetterman staffer who a few months ago said Dems should not be held by the nose by organizations. Yeah, they don't believe in anything. Gave a speech at Third Way's conference less than a month ago. Yeah. Isn't this the same guy who said that he was done with purity tests and then less than a month later said that any politician who was willing to even meet with Hassan Piker shouldn't be considered because he doesn't want Abdul Al-Sayed to win in Minnesota? I hate these people so much. I hate them. I hate them so fucking much. And it's crazy because you can Google any one of them and all of the Wikipedia pages say the same thing. This guy's been evil his whole life. Michigan, sorry, not Minnesota, Michigan. Thank you. This guy's been evil his entire life. He doesn't believe in anything. He gets paid to hold positions, and then he does. His whole life, ruin has followed him. He does nothing but lose elections, push unpopular opinions because no one else will. That's it. That's all he is. And they're all the same, and we still have to take them seriously, you know? In a fair world, in a world where people's characters are, graded and appreciated by their virtues, Hassan would be infinitely less controversial than anyone who has ever worked with Third Way. And I don't even like him that much, man! But if he's the litmus test they're using, then I hope it blows up in their face. And so far it is. Deep state Dems are acting fucking insane with their Hassan Piker purity test. You think they deliberately chose Hassan as their target? They just wanted somebody who represented like populist anti-Zionism. It could have been anyone. Low-key jealous it's not you? No, I'm really not. I don't want that smoke. No, I agree, Masaigu. Tim Miller seems to actually care about politics. It's just, but you can tell the difference from people who get into it via consultancy. I have never met a political actor who got in on the ground floor via consultancy or lobbying who was a real human being. They're all reptile people, you know? Every single time with no exceptions. If you look at their Wikipedia page and it goes from like graduated college to moved to DC, worked for a lobbying or consultancy group, I have yet to find anybody like that who's worthwhile as a human being, who's worth anything. Always they are worthless. Dude, these are so comfy. These were too tight when I first put them on, but they've loosened into my fat thighs a little bit. This was such a lucky goddamn find, dude. Look at how nice these fit. I'm like sitting in jeans. I can't believe it. It's because they're 50 years old or so. So they're broken in. Whereas all the like Japanese denim that I get, it's like new, you know? So they have to be broken in. They're kind of sharp, a little crunchy. Not this. They're so cute on you. I know. It's like the perfect summer spring jeans, you know? Slightly higher rise, like the rise goes right below my belly button. Put this on and like a little jacket, and you've got a good spring fit. What kind of shirt is this? It's a short sleeve Western shirt. The belt's still missing? Well, yeah, I'm not going to wear a belt while I'm sitting down for stream. It looks like it'd be tight, but to hear you say they're comfortable is awesome. Yeah, it's because the denim fibers are so broken in. Again, it's like a, you know, older pair of jeans. Wear them wet, right? Well, these are vintage. They're made in USA Levi's, which means that they're at least, I want to say, like 40 years old. So all the denim fibers have been broken in, you know? Think of denim like cardboard, right? Like if you get a sheet of cardboard, at first it's very stiff, and if you try to bend it, it only bends at one like seam, like one fold, you know? But if you take a thing of cardboard and you like and you like roll it between your hands and you really like break up the fibers and stuff, eventually it's almost like a sheet of paper. You know what I mean? Like it's like woo 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 woo. You can make it all wavy, right? That's kind of like how natural fibers work as well. Denim, anything cotton, really. The complex cellular structure of the plant fibers, you break them in and it stays strong, but you make it less rigid. Works that way with, never noticed that with cardboard? Really? You never like, even like cardstock? Got this from the brick and mortar? Like you've never like bent it and then done this for a while, and then eventually it just loses its rigidity and you can just like wave it and wiggle it. You know what I mean? No, it's just an example. Yesterday, I saw Bill Kristol post about how he's not an Israel hater, but does not really understand why everyone's freaking out over Hassan. He seems chill. What's wrong with attacking Zionism? And he got dogpiled by Zionists, but didn't budge. God bless Bill Kristol. He's been on such a upward arc for such a long time, you know? A real one. By which I mean he actually has real beliefs. Is he even a neocon anymore? I feel like Bill Kristol has been... I feel like Bill Kristol for the past like 5 to 10 years has been a pretty consistent, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't call him based, but at least he believes in stuff. He has had a bit of an arc, for sure, for sure. Senator Gallego announces he's exploring running for president by defending providing Israel with weapons. That's his fucking campaign promise. On Israel, Senator Ruben Gallego said he disagreed with those who said they were post defense. Yeah, whatever. Fucking weirdos, man. Speaking of Graham Plattner.
Not a single taxpayer dollar should be spent on arming and defending a country that commits a genocide. I would absolutely support Senator Sanders' bill to restrict military aid, but I'll be entirely honest, looking down the road, this is a nation.
It does look like he's giving this guy a haircut, yeah.
That right now is exterminating people. It is going to be very difficult for me to ever be able to look at them again and see someone that we should be working with closely. An immense amount of work is going to have to be done, in my opinion, to fix that relationship, because what I am witnessing now is the height of horror. And the fact that it is being done by bombs that are built in this country and paid for with our tax dollars is utterly unconscionable, and it needs to end.
It's so cool how Graham Plattner has spoken to the entire population of Maine at this point. You know? Oh, hold on. This is a little bit more of like an edge case thing. I lost my mind when I saw this. I really couldn't believe it. I say that a lot. I really, really mean it in this case. The New York Times is a dogshit Zionist institution that has contributed substantially to the intellectual decline of this country by platforming and broadcasting the voices of people who sound smart but are not, and by legitimizing misinformation with doublespeak and you know, all manner of obfuscation. But this one was beyond the pale for me. Have you guys seen this? I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I lost my mind. I stared at the image for a couple of seconds before I realized it, because, you know, I'm stupid as well. Everyone, this title, A North American Treaty Organization Without America? This is not an op-ed. This was printed in the paper. No editor caught this. Not the writer, not any of the editors, not the many people who look over what is printed in the New York Times before it was published. AI generated? Nope. AI would not get this wrong, is the thing. I don't think it would. There's no, like, it's a word fill-in-the-blank program. It would know what an acronym stands for. This is just good old human stupidity. A North American Treaty Organization within America. The whole, like, hook of the article's title is predicated on not knowing what NATO stands for. I'm not seeing it. It's North Atlantic Treaty Organization, not North American. How can you write geopolitical articles on, how can you write for the New York Times? How can you edit for the New York Times and not catch this? America doesn't know what NATO stands for. No. Don't be smug, okay? The idea that the New York Times could publish this and no one would catch it, this is a level of journalistic incompetence that is genuinely beyond the pale. It's like the death of institutions. You know, it would be like going into American universities and polling professors, and like half of them believe in a heliocentric solar model. There's so much rot under the surface. It's just one mistake. I think you're overreacting. No. You don't understand, man. You don't understand. Oh, sorry, geocentric. I meant geocentric. See, don't pull me. I'm not a professor. Geocentric. Well, no, hold on. If half of the professors thought that heliocentrism was correct, that would imply that half the professors think that something other than heliocentrism is correct. I'm right in either case. Fuck you. This is unconscionable. It's not just one mistake. You can't make mistakes like this. I feel like we've all grown so like institutionally distrustful that we've forgotten what it means for an institution like the New York Times to make a mistake like this. You can't make a mistake like this. In a sane world, a mistake like this, if written by the writer, they would just be fired, and the editor would catch it. It's not just a mistake. It's that you can't make mistakes like this. A correction will appear in tomorrow's print edition. A headline with an article on Friday about President Trump's threats to leave NATO misstated the full name of the body. It's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, not the North American Treaty Organization. It's up there with mixing up Iran and Iraq somehow. It's insane that I can't imagine what state the newspaper is in for a mistake like this to go through. This feels like the symbolic end of the American empire. It really does. The New York Times is the newspaper. It has been for a long time. I don't know. I still don't see the big issue. It's not like newspapers, even the New York Times, haven't made mistakes before. The person who wrote this article didn't know what NATO stands for. It's not a typo, and it's not like an incidental, oh, they looked up the wrong info thing. The article's premise is expressed in the title. They planned out the title. It wasn't a typo. And no editors caught it. It doesn't betray a minor inconsistency or a factual oversight or a typo or anything like that. It betrays the fact that the writer did not know what NATO stood for, but still wrote about it, and then no editor caught it. I'm trying to think of like what a good comparison, like institutionally, this would be. I don't know. It's, you know, in a way, it's very similar to the death of published research articles, where peer review has become more and more scarce and ineffective. In a way, I guess it would be like Nature. You know, like the scientific journal Nature, publishing just a complete hackneyed nonsense article. For the most part, Nature doesn't do that, mind you. When people try to make a point by publishing nonsense articles, they usually do it through self-publication, or they go to like a more disreputable journal that publishes stuff more or less freely. Nature doesn't usually do that. But if Nature published an article that if you read it for 5 seconds, turned out to be total bullshit. Not if you crunched all the numbers yourself. If you read it for 5 seconds, if you read the title, I think that would reveal something very damaging, because Nature is not supposed to do that. The Lancet did that? Yeah, but the Lancet is not Nature. Like how the DOJ keeps messing up basic procedural paperwork like this. Yeah, this feels like the journalistic equivalent of people who were adjacent to Trump during his first term admitting that in order to get information across to him, you had to use pictures, headlines, and use his name a lot, that you couldn't give him more than a page of text. Like when they, after Trump won, they were like, yeah, during the briefing rooms, during our the briefings, you couldn't give him a page of text. He wouldn't read it. You had to use his name a lot, and you had to use pictures. It feels like an equivalent to that, except we already know that Trump is actually retarded. The guy who wrote the article has written for the Times since the 1980s. Stephen Erlinger. What a fucking embarrassment, man. I don't know. It fills me with a despair, I guess. I don't know. It feels like a bit of an Ozymandias moment, right? Like there are institutions you expect to be evil and incompetent in many ways, but this is a kind of incompetence that, eh. It should be impossible to be this competent. San Diego City Council passes resolution marking criticism of Netanyahu, Israel, and Zionism as anti-Semitic. Cool. I wonder who pushed for that.
Anti-Semitism has been rising in San Diego and across the country.
Prove it. No, I mean it. Like, I need citations on this now. Can you give me any, like, data to back that up?
That's according to Jewish organizations and...
Which ones? What data? Provide examples.
Hundreds of speakers at Tuesday's San Diego City Council meeting.
That's not reliable data. That's not a reliable data set.
Liat Cohen-Reese directs a local anti-Semitism task force. She says defining it is the city's...
Let me get her name again.
Cohen-Reese directs a local San Diego City Council meeting. Liat Cohen-Reese...
Liat Cohen-Reese. Not getting... Might be small enough they don't have a wiki article.
Directs a local anti-Semitism task force. She says defining it is the city's first step to better fight it.
Well, we need language. We need...
Oh, Liat Cohen-Reese. Okay, that was not... Let's see. Let's find out about this person. From the Jewish National Fund USA, Your Voice in Israel. On Sunday, August 28th, 2022, more than 500 Zionists in San Diego attended Jewish National Fund USA's 11th annual Love of Israel brunch at the Hilton La Hula, Torrey Pines, with many more online. The sold-out event featured Hollywood actress, producer, author, and activist Noah Tishby, who was recently named the Special Envoy for Combating Anti-Semitism and the Delegitimization of Israel by Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Super normal, by the way, that, like, some American Jews are being labeled by Israel as, like, their special envoys for propaganda in America. That's, like, super normal. That's, like, a normal thing that happens between normal allied countries. Love that. Very, very normal. Her org, Christian Jewish Alliance. Jesus Christ. Is she not even Jewish? Evangelical? She has multiple orgs. This is the one she's repping in the news bit you saw. Super normal for, like, random people to run, like, 17 Zionist organizations. God almighty. By the way, and all of them, with like no exceptions, all of them openly just about defending Israel. They're not about Jewish culture, Jewish history, Jewish people. They're only anti-Semitic in the sense that they're defending Israel. That's it. Like, it's very obvious for all these, the top priorities are being pro-Israeli, and I guarantee you that a lot of these people are getting money. We need to start registering a lot more people as envoys of foreign governments, enemy governments, as far as I'm concerned. They're doing dang settler colonialism in my country. God almighty. 3 years ago, Jewish National Fund USA faced an enormous set of challenges with the onset of the pandemic. Lisa Brom said at the event, "Today I stand proudly before you and say we are stronger, bolder, and more resilient than ever before. Some orgs turned off their lights and went home. Others dramatically reduced their operations. However, we took a vastly different approach. What started with blue boxes and tree planting has evolved into our bold $1 billion roadmap for the next decade, which I'm proud to announce has reached nearly $1 billion. The breadth, depth, and impact of our organization can be felt from Israel's northernmost town all the way south to the Red Sea." Again, just like super normal. Yet there is still so much to achieve as we support a nation under creation. As you can see, we were there for our Jewish homeland just as we have been for the last 121 years, and you better believe that we'll be there for Israel for the next 121 years and beyond. None of them, they barely even mention Jewishness. It's just all Israel all the time. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria voiced his unwavering support for Israel and proclaimed August 28, 2022, Jewish National Fund USA Day. Phenomenal. Anyway, let's continue this. All right, hello, agent of Israel. We need a list of these people. In my opinion, I actually think it's okay to create lists of people who are being paid by a foreign intelligence agency to disseminate propaganda. I actually think that's fine, in my opinion. I think that's okay. Like, these people are literally envoys. In that article we just read, they literally said that which one was it? Was it here? Tishby? Yeah. Sold Out event featured Hollywood actress, producer, author, named special envoy for combating anti-Semitism and the delegitimization of Israel by Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Isn't that weird to you? Would like any other country, your foreign ministry designates people as like official propaganda agents for foreign, like civilians? They're not paid by the government. It's crazy. Oh my God. Noah Tishby looks exactly the way you would expect. Here's her most recent Instagram post. You have to log in to see the full... Okay. An Israeli actress and activist. That's the first thing listed on her goddamn... The Affair, The Island, Nip Tuck, Big Love, NCIS. Co-executive producer of the HBO series In Treatment, which is an adaptation of the Israeli series B'Tipol. Production company Noah's Ark. Oh my fucking God. Was responsible for selling several other adaptations of Israeli programs to American networks. Focuses on Zionism, activism, Advocacy Act for Israel 2011, which was revealed in 2025 to have collaborated with the Israeli government to shape coverage of Israel in American media. How should we not? Can somebody please explain to me how these are not foreign agents? Could somebody please explain to me how these are not foreign agents? I would love for someone to explain. You want to put them in... They're literally traitors. I don't know what you want from me. In violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which we ignore for Israel. We'll pursue it for like Chinese or Russian citizens, but if you're Israeli, you can get away with whatever the fuck you want, dude. Born in Tel Aviv into a Jewish family involved in the establishment of Israel, the kibbutz her grandfather co-founded was among the first in Israel history. I wonder how many fucking Arab children he killed. Served 2.5 years in the IDF. Secular Zionist upbringing, of course, because they're not even Jewish. A lot of the fucking Israel, they're not even Jewish. They're just Israeli supremacists. In the same way that a lot of Nazis weren't really Christian. They didn't go to church consistently. Their ideology was Aryan supremacism. It wasn't like worship of Christ. the last time a Zionist org was about to be prosecuted under FARA over 50 years ago. That's fucking insane. There are like thousands of people who could be put in jail under FARA from Israel alone. And this is it? 50 years ago? We're so cucked, dude. We're so cucked. We're so cucked. Harshly criticizes the BDS movement. In 2014, she founded Reality Israel, which holds a series of leadership trips for Jewish and non-Jewish people in Israel. Spoke at the United Nations General Assembly in New York City in support for Israel. Tishby joined the Black Jewish Entertainment Alliance. Oh, she did register as a foreign agent under FARA, but not for her 2025 collaboration with the Israeli government. So she registered under FARA as the special envoy, but then not for the later. Okay. Leading Zionist voice in the United States. Assaulted during a pro-Palestinian demonstration in Paris. Tragic. What is she doing in Paris? In April 2021, she released her first book, Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. Her second book, titled Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew. Founded Act for Israel, an online Zionist advocacy organization. In March 2011, Act for Israel arranged 7 interviews with an IDF delegation with American blogs and radio shows, including Red State. In 2025, the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft reported on leaked emails indicating that Act for Israel's activities on behalf of Israel violated FARA, and that the scope and timeline of Tishby's pro-Israel work went beyond what she had disclosed when registering as a foreign agent. According to the Quincy Institute, in public, Act for Israel appeared to be no more than a group of pro-Israel Americans advocating for a stronger U.S.-Israeli relationship, but the leaked emails and documents show that representatives of the org sought to shape the U.S. public opinion while boasting privately of their intimate collaboration with the Israeli government. This is literally like every AIPAC guy. You all know this, right? There are thousands of people in America who this applies to. They're traitors to this country. They're collaborators with a foreign government. This unambiguous. You don't even have to make new laws, and I would make new laws, but you don't even have to make new laws, even under existing laws. It's like how it's like legally, we already have laws against providing weapons to Israel. The Leahy Act. We already can't do that legally. We choose to ignore Israel's war crimes, even though our own government has found constant evidence for it. Like, there's not even remotely ambiguous that Israel commits war crimes, but we pretend they don't, so we continue to give them weapons. Awarded an honorary doctorate by Reichman University on June 4th, 2024, awarded for having made exceptional contributions to the State of Israel since October 7th. She's not a foreign agent. She was just born in Tel Aviv, and is the granddaughter of Fania Artzi, one of the founders of the kibbutz at Degania, Hanan Yavor, an Israeli diplomat, and the Shum Tish, who is a founder of the Israeli Ministry of Industry and Trade. Her mother, Yael Tishby, served as head of the food department at the Israeli Export Center. Like, her whole family are reps for the Israeli government, and all she does is rep the Israeli government, but it's just like a coincidence or whatever. Things like this are why I don't mind with normies think Israel controls America as long as they're not anti-Semitic. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's important to like learn as much as you can so you understand the true nature of the dynamic between America and Israel. But the flat, like if you were to choose between two flat, unnuanced descriptions of like the state of the relationship between Israel and America, the statement Israel secretly controls America is more true than the antithesis. If you were to say Israel absolutely does not control America, I think that statement is less founded in truth than the inaccurate but more truthful opposite statement. Like, shit like this is fucking psychotic, man. And there's so much of it. There's so much of it. But you do have to learn antithesis, not antithesis. Yeah. You do have to learn more though. It's not sufficient. You actually can't get very much done if you just think Israel controls America, because then what happens when you get rid of Israeli influence? Oh, dang, turns out that Israel was inside America all along. And by Israel, you mean like fascistic corporate control. What really matters is having a conversation about why people like this are allowed to run free, as obvious foreign agents. It's worth talking about. Anyway, what were we? Sorry, we were looking at this fucking San Diego. Hold on.
Anti-Semitism has been rising, and they disagreed on how everyone who spoke agreed anti-Semitism needs to be combated. They disagreed on how to define it. The city adopted the definition of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IRA. It's been adopted by dozens of countries and cities across the U.S., including Los Angeles, Chula Vista, and El Cajon. It says anti-Semitism is, quote, a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred. It includes 11 examples. 7 of them involve the state of Israel. Critics say the language has been used to silence criticism of Israel and support.
They're fucking over the Jews so badly. All those older Zionists who were like, yep, the best way forward is for us to say that Israel and Zionism are the same thing. Like, you are condemning your entire community to an endless torment cycle.
For Palestinians. One of those critics is Jewish council member Sean Elo Rivera. He says people must be allowed to both love Jewish people and speak freely against actions by the Israeli government.
A definition that cannot hold both of these things at once is not a tool for fighting anti-Semitism. It is a tool for silencing people who care about everyone.
He urged the council to consider other definitions, but he was outvoted 8-1. For more on this debate...
Jesus Christ. Oh. Yep. How the fuck are these people not all just traitors or something? Old-fashioned Vosh content, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Moggs, Bill Maher was facing trans issues. Go to 430 for... Ben, when you tell me something would make fantastic content, it makes me not want to watch it. I feel like I'm being directed. You're directing me right now. Also, who even knows that trans people are real? Is this even watchable? Club Random? I don't know if this is content ID. Found this video satirizing the professor. Aren't you the person who kept posting that earlier? No, I don't care about the man thing video. Good, Ben. Good. You have any idea why California seems more controlled by Zionist Dems than many other blue states? I mean, it's California and New York, and you can probably take a pretty reasonable guess as to why that might be. Just, like, think about it. Just think about it for a sec. You see Mehdi Hassan debate Professor Zhang? Yeah, it's just... All I saw was a clip of Mehdi Hassan grilling him for not actually being a professor.
Some have called you China's Nostradamus. You had three famous predictions in 2024: that Trump would get elected, that he would start a war with Iran, and that he would lose a war with Iran.
Iran clearly has the strategic advantage. I think the next step in the escalation ladder is that Trump will send in ground forces.
Nikki Haley was key to your prediction about Iran. You said Trump would pick her as his running mate, but he didn't pick her.
I think that the problem with education is that it focuses too much on facts, too much on rigor, and not enough on imagination.
Too much on facts. Do you hear yourself? Does China control what you say now? Your critics might say they're using you as a propagandist.
It is possible I'm a useful idiot, and I suspect that there are many entities around the world who would like to amplify my message, including the Chinese government.
Hold on. You don't call yourself Professor Jiang on your YouTube channel?
I do now, but when I first started out, if you go way back to my early
doesn't matter
lectures,
when you first started out. You do call yourself Professor Jiang, and you're not.
The comments on the Mehdi Jiang video are crazy. Yeah, I keep seeing people say that. Is that true? Oh yeah, I guess so. Professor Jiang didn't even flinch. That was a tough interview. He did great. Professor Jiang actually handled the interview pretty well. Internet has accepted him as professor. That shall be his title. But there aren't a whole bunch of dislikes? I don't know.
Professor, what is your big prediction now for 2026? We'll see what happens. We can test it out at the end of the year. Back in 2024, Chinese-Canadian educator Shui-Qin Jiang posted a video on his YouTube channel, Predictive History, where he laid out three big predictions. Donald Trump would win the 2024 election, the US would then go to war with Iran, and ultimately the US would lose that war. Since then, the self-styled professor who says he uses game theory to analyze the past and predict future geopolitical events has become an internet sensation and has even been dubbed China's Nostradamus. But he's also faced some criticisms over his predictions and, many would say, pretty out there conspiracy theories. 2 out of 3 of Jiang's big predictions have come true. But how much of that is his own geopolitical foresight, and how much of it simply comes down to luck? How much does the Chinese...
The GCC nations...
I'm just going to skip that halfway through.
And one major issue about China's WTO entry, of course, is worker rights.
Professor Jiang is a kook and a grifter, so he's going to present himself in his most reasonable form when talking to someone like Mehdi Hassan. And when he's on his own channel talking about his own stuff, he's going to ramble about how Jesus committed suicide, or, I don't know, how the Holocaust isn't backed by evidence or whatever.
And at this time in China, there was a major restructuring of the state-owned enterprise system. So I was dispatched to northeastern China to film a worker protest. Unfortunately, the place was swimming with police spies, and I was arrested and interrogated for 2 days. I was held incognito for 48 hours, which is the maximum by Chinese law. And I signed a confession saying that I was a reporter and working in China illegally as a reporter, and the decision was made to deport me without charging me with any crime. And so I was allowed to come back into the country, but I was deported. So that was the story.
If they suspect
Please tell me Mehdi destroys him. You can't destroy people like this in a conversation because the goalposts are always moving, you know? It's the same reason that debates with... Jordan Peterson were always a massive fucking waste of time.
Being a spy, how did they let you back in? China's not known for being that trusting.
They suspect me of being a spy, but after a 48-hour investigation, after learning and eschatology, then this gives you a pretty deep insight into how the world will turn out. And secret societies are very much an important aspect of eschatology.
I'll come back to secret societies. A couple of things you mentioned there. You said you were at Yale. Just to be clear, your degree was in English literature, was it not, at Yale? It wasn't international relations or national security. You're an English lit graduate, and you're not a professor. I know it's your YouTube moniker, but you're a high school teacher. You're not actually a professor.
Right. So when I went to Yale, I was actually a math and physics major. I was declared a math and physics major, but the Yale English department was very strong, and so I switched majors. So I have actually both a math background as well as an English background. That's why my system of analysis can seem strange to people, because I'm combining a multidisciplinary approach to my thinking. Yeah. going. And now we just focus on facts, on making sure that you can memorize all the elements of the periodic table, on making sure that
when you talk about secret societies, I guess people want to say, well, where's the factual evidence? Where's the evidence? You said, I think, the Jesuits control the Vatican. First of all, there's nothing wrong with Jesuits. Good people. I know many of them. Second of all, there's only ever been one pope who's a Jesuit, and he's gone. So people would wonder, like, facts are important to your evidence. And people would say that it's not just fun and games when you're doing speculation on YouTube. They look at some of your rhetoric and they see that you don't just criticize Zionism or Israel, as many people legitimately do. You talk about this pretty far-right concept of Pax Judaica, a new world order centered around Israel. You have a video called Dawn of the Jews, in which you seek to answer the question, why is it that Jews are so dominant? Surely you understand why a lot of people think at best you're trafficking in pretty anti-Semitic tropes, and at worst, you're a card-carrying anti-Semite when they see that stuff.
Okay, well, that is a very strong accusation. So can you please tell me what specifically I've said that you find offensive?
This is why I knew he'd do this. It's such a waste of time because, like, he knows the reason he's backing off his position here, or like trying to back off making an evidentiary claim rather than just explaining what he believes, is because he knows that he panders to anti-Semitism. He just wants to, like, waste time by making Mehdi Hassan do all the work of substantiating a position where, like, over here in the real world, saying that we're entering into an age of Pax Judaica, everyone already knows that's anti-Semitic. Like, you don't have, like, you shouldn't need to say anything more. Mehdi Hassan has already laid the evidence forward.
When you do a video called Dawn of the Jews, why is it that Jews are so dominant? You don't find that offensive?
I never said Jews were dominant. What I said in my lecture was that the Jewish identity was created by the Persian Empire in order to better control the Levant. And if you read the Bible, that's exactly what you can derive from it. If you go to my lecture on the Jews, you will see that I use the Bible as my primary source, and then I analyze what the Bible is saying. The problem is that most people don't read the Bible.
But by the way, that's not true. Really? Jews weren't created by the Persian Empire? Are you sure?
Who came up with Pax Judaica are not biblical scholars. They're the modern white supremacist far right.
Sorry. What is wrong with the term Pax Judaica?
You tell me. What does it mean?
See, before he was answering his questions calmly and concisely. Well, maybe not concisely, but he was answering them directly. But now it's like, what do you mean by that? Definition. You can just explain exactly what you mean. If somebody accused me of being anti-Semitic and provided me with, like, quotes of stuff that I'd said, I could very easily explain without needing them to waste time waffling or explaining their terms or definitions. I could just explain what I believe.
It just means that there is an entity in the Middle East, Israel, that is able to dominate the Middle East, very much along the lines of Pax Americana, and Pax Britannica and Pax
But you didn't say Pax
Magalica.
Israelica. You said Pax Judaica. That implies all Jews. You know the tropes about Jews running the world. I wouldn't be okay if you said Iran is dominant, Saudi Arabia is dominant, Pax Muslimica. In fact, you know that there are many racists in the West who do believe that Islam and Muslims are trying to take over the world. I find that equally offensive.
Right. So I'm using a Latin convention. And so the Latin convention would be Pax Judaica. It would not be Pax Israelica. I mean, like.
But you know where this concept comes from. It exists in far right.
It's literally like saying, like, if you had a term that involved the N-word, you'd be like, well, historically they would have used the N-word.
Online circles. It's not some academic term.
Do you believe that the Greater Israel Project is a far right conspiracy theory?
No.
What is?
No, he's no longer answering questions directly. Also, for one, whether or not Greater Israel is a real thing has nothing to do with the use of the term Pax Judaica. And for two, many countries around the world envision a larger, like, what about Pax Sovietica, Pax Russica? Russia's literally taking territory in Ukraine right now. Like, the Russian socio-political doctrine, you know, the Duginist ideology literally involves, like, acquisition of Eastern Europe. But we don't talk about that, do we? No, we talk about Pax Judaica, and the only people using that term are, like, internet neo-Nazis.
I think it's a very real project being carried out by the Israeli government. I just don't call it Pax Judaica.
Right, okay. So the difference between the Greater Israel Project and Pax Judaica is this. Greater Israel Project is what the Israelis believe that Yahweh, their God, promised to their ancestor Abraham in the Bible. And this extends from the now to the Euphrates. And I could have just used Greater Israel Project, but I want to differentiate because I believe that Pax Judaica is not an empire run by Jews, for Jews, by Jews. It is an empire run by transnational capital and secret societies in order to...
Then, so by international capital, he means Jews. Why would you call it Pax Judaica otherwise? He just thinks that Jews are the secret societies and the money.
To create an AI surveillance state throughout the Middle East.
And
if
this
you actually listen...
Just to be clear, and this is speculative analysis. This is not based on facts, as you say.
So it is based on speculative analysis, based on history, historical patterns. It's also based on connecting the dots, because if you just look at what Netanyahu says, if you actually just go and watch on YouTube...
Notice how he completely evaded the point here. Why the fuck does that mean you'd call it Pax Judaica? How would... Okay, so you want to make the point that the Greater Israel Project is the product of like international capital, and to an extent there's an element of truth there. Why does that make it right to call it Pax Judaica? If anything, that's an argument against calling it Pax Judaica. If it's international capital, then now the majority of the people involved in this Greater Israel Project are non-Jewish. At least if you say Greater Israel, you're referring to a population that demographically is majority Jewish. So calling that Pax Judaica makes more sense than calling it Pax Judaica if you're referring to an international conspiracy. The average Zionist is non-Jewish. They're evangelical.
Netanyahu says, we're in agreement on how bad Netanyahu is, how expansionist is. I'm talking about the language you use, the milieu you're in. Let me ask you this before we wrap up. What are your own politics? Where do you place yourself on the political spectrum?
I believe I've always been on the left. So I believe that wealth redistribution is very important. I believe in freedom of speech. I am anti-war. I'm anti-empire. I believe in individual autonomy. And so, unfortunately, I used to be left, but I think that, like, given my preferences and given my politics, I believe most people would consider me on the far right nowadays.
Wow, it's like the same template grifter answer that I've heard from every guy on the right for the past decade. Incredible. It's literally just one for one, the exact same. Phenomenal. Every right-wing grifter, the left left me exactly. I believe in free speech, and that used to be the left position, but now only the far right believes in free speech. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Last question. You made 3 very famous predictions in 2024. What is your big prediction now for 2026? We'll see what happens. We can test it out at the end of the year.
Well, I've made 3 predictions about how this war will progress, okay? So my first prediction is that the United States will use ground troops.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that. I'm with you.
And I believe that this ground troops will be a quagmire for the United States and that they will have to call a national draft, okay? That's my first prediction.
Okay.
My second
national draft, okay.
Prediction, and this is very important, is that Israel and the United States will not use a nuclear weapon in this war. I think that the talk of nuclear weapons is fear-mongering. I don't think we will escalate to that point of nuclear weapons.
I hope you're right. I worry about nukes. I hope you're right.
And my third and most controversial prediction is that I believe that during the course of this war, somehow, some way, the Al-Aqsa Mosque will be destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a disaster. God forbid. We will have to leave it there on that rather dark prediction. Shui-Chin Jiang, I appreciate you taking time out. I appreciate you taking my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you like this video?
Not terribly. Yeah, I just don't find the Professor Jiang stuff that interesting. It's just, to me, it's the same manufactured, cultivated grifter language that I've seen in so many other people. Jordan Peterson, Stefan Molyneux, like there's so many like versions of this guy. I guarantee you that in a year, nobody's going to be talking about him. These people only hit the height for as long as they're able to maintain that like buffer of plausible deniability. But after a point, they fail too many predictions. They make too many mistakes. They get too crazy, and then people stop caring. Same for all the rest of them. Same for Dave Rubin. Same for Lauren Southern. Same for Milo Yiannopoulos. Same for Stefan Molyneux. Same for Jordan Peterson. It's always like that. It's always the same. Very boring. What about Candace Owens? Candace Owens successfully rebranded herself. But keep in mind, like, the Candace Owens of today basically only exists in contrast to her work for the Daily Wire. Like, she very intelligently rebounded. But she went from being like, her job was the token, the black Republican, you know, Democratic plantation. But once that started to die down, you know, she successfully pivoted and turned her career into like hardline anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. I worked at Daily Wire. I lived under the oppressive heel of the Jew, so on and so forth. Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. She was able to rebrand herself, you know? I've seen a million Professor Jiangs, like tears in the rain. All right. Working under Shapiro must be hell, yeah, fair. Excuse me. The thing is, Candace Owens was always anti-Semitic. I mean, she's a conservative. A lot of them are anti-Semitic, yeah. Even the evangelicals only like Israel because they want to see the Jews get sacrificed or whatever type shit. Man. All right. I'm chilling it with the segments. It's Easter. I wasn't planning on streaming for this long anyway. We'll read donos in a sec. Let me Woo. Can't wait to wear these out later. I'm still a little bit too big for them. I need to lose like 10 pounds, but after that. Who dilly? Nice jeans? Yeah, it's classic. And happy Easter. A black belt would suit it wonderfully. With a spring outfit? I don't think I'd wear a black belt. I'd probably wear like, I don't know, burgundy belt and boots maybe? Or like a suede? I need a suede belt. I don't have a suede belt. I want the leather jacket to return for fuck's sake. I'm wearing light wash denim and it's spring and it's 1:44 p.m. Why the fuck would I wear a black leather jacket? No. Time, place, and occasion. Here's my Easter gift. You shouldn't have. Do you read Kill 6 Billion Demons? I'm a couple of years behind, but I used to read it. Saying this like wearing a black leather jacket to stream at your computer's normal. I did that to help break it in, and it really worked. Got way more comfortable after I did that for 2 or 3 days. Is this real? Yes. All right. Why the fuck do I have an email about Russia? Okay, 6 minutes ago. Fuck, they're still watching. I'll get to that later. All right, hold on. What's cooking over there in the Reddit? Mehdi Hassan's Professor Jiang interview. Microsoft. Yes, Vosh, Europe is evangelicals. No chatter, they're not progressive. Ah, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Challenging films for people who want to expand their horizons. I need to watch, what's the Ryan Gosling film that just came out that people were talking about the book of? Because the film's an adaptation of a book. And people posted that one screenshot of the book and it looks awfully written. Project Hail Mary, yeah. The one where the guy was like, I'm 300 Earth years old. It did like snarky ass millennial writing. It reminded me of the rambling that I had done previously about like the way a lot of text these days is written to be as unchallenging and conversational as possible. You know? Is it better than Orc City? Well, at least Orc City is novel. Where was that screenshot? Project Hail Mary. Where? Why can't I find it? God, Twitter search function sucks ass so goddamn much, dude. It's crazy how much it sucks ass. Have you seen Clavicular getting choked like a farm goose? I've seen you desperately trying to get me to look at that clip. I cannot find that screenshot. The hit movie Project Hail Mary has fans craving the cozy cardigan emblazoned with foxes that Ryan Gosling wears. He always has a cool jacket. But there's a snag to obtaining the sweater. If you want one, you have to knit it yourself. All right, you can also go to the fine Cowichan people and ask them to make you one for like a cool $1,000, $2,000 if you're keen on it. I cannot find that screenshot. Whatever. Forget it. The fine what people? It's called a Cowichan sweater, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. Certainly looks like ones that I've seen before. So named for the people who originally knit them. Very durable sweaters. Lots of patterning and designs. Looks like a comfy sweater. Yep. It's available for $98. No, the fuck it isn't. Are you looking at this? That's the same sweater? Come on. If somebody had printed those foxes on a big sheet of paper and wrapped it around their body, would you have called that the same sweater? No. If I remember correctly, the Cowichan people, they live up in northwestern Canada, real cold up there. They had been knitting sweaters for ages using the animal fur available to them, which was mostly dog fur. I forget what breed of dog. Anyway, when Europeans came over and introduced them to the humble sheep, they were like, hold my fucking beer, check this shit out. And they started to make incredibly high-quality sweaters because they now had access to high-quality wool. Iron Snail reference? Well, that's the history. What's the name of the sweater again? Cowichan. They're very warm. No man walks alone. Cowichan. The company that I'm aware of that makes the best is called Kanata. Also, Double RL has some good ones. They're from Vancouver Island. The very best ones are hand knit. The traditional Thunderbird design. Knitting characteristic Cowichan people, southeastern Vancouver Island. Cecil Merritt as a prisoner of the war during World War II in a knit Cowichan sweater. Nice of the Nazis to let him keep that. That's not good, Masaiga. Well, anyway. Nice that the donos are popping up again. Now we can do TTS streams again. Close all that. The Cowichan Valley is where I live. Well, and you should get one of their damn sweaters. Do I have to iron my clothes? Depends on the clothes. I iron very infrequently. Typically, the clothing that you iron is dress shirts. you know? If you're not wearing dress shirts that often, you probably don't need to iron your clothes that often either. How frequently do you dry clean? Basically never. You only have to dry clean suits, really. Maybe a couple other items. Not a very common item you have to get washed. I am a big fan of the Kanata. Let me see if I can find it. Does Kanata have anything in stock right now? Makers, A, B, C, D, E, H, I, J, K. I never do the alphabet in my head. I have to sound it out every time. Because I'm mentally deficient. No, they don't have anything. Makes sense. You're getting into... How do you keep the clothes you don't iron from getting wrinkles? Well, what clothes? I mean, depends on the clothes, right? You can steam them if you want, but like, what about this? I've worn this shirt maybe 5 times since I last washed it. You know, I mean, it's got wrinkles on it, but it's kind of how it's supposed to be. Like, it doesn't have to be super smooth. Yeah, I don't leave them sitting on the ground mostly. Ironing or steaming, what do you like more? Steaming is much less annoying. I've been raised to iron everything. Well, I don't think that's necessary. You can probably get away with washing your clothes much less often than you have been, and you probably don't need to iron anything except for dress shirts. Even casual shirts like Western shirts, work shirts, you know, OCBDs. You don't need to iron those. Also, you can just fluff them up in the dryer. Most clothes you can just fluff up in the dryer. Ironing is necessary for pleating. Well, if you want to set the pleat, sure, but the pleats still exist in the stitching of the clothes, the construction. Do not iron suits? No, do not iron suits. Or wash them or dry them or do anything else with them, frankly. Don't steam them either. No, don't put them in the bathroom while you take a shower to steam them. Can I look at it? No, do not look at the suits. Dry clean only, right? Dry clean only. That's all you can do. Depends on the fabric. Suits can be steamed if you know what you're doing. No, do not spread misinformation, okay? Steaming can delaminate the suits. I mean, if you're talking about like a carry-on suit or an unlined suit, sure, but then that's not what we're talking about. You know, if it's completely unlined, what's wrong with steaming them in the bathroom? Because you can delaminate a suit. The thin layers of like horsehair and canvassing and stitching that make up the construction of a suit, they are bound together and laminated with glue. If you steam them, the heat and moisture can cause the layers to separate. If this happens, there's no fixing it. It cannot be fixed, at least not without an expense probably greater than the original suit is worth. Don't want to do that. What do you do if the suit is dirty? Dry clean. I mean, there might be some topical debris that you can remove with brushing, but yeah, no, you have to dry clean it. How does dry cleaning even work? You use chemical solvents to clean that are not water and therefore don't activate the laminate between the layers of the suit jacket. How long can I put my suit in a rice cooker? Yeah. You don't have to clean suits often. Like, I have that suit jacket from Anthology, the sport coat. I haven't had it dry cleaned once. I've worn it maybe 10 times. I got it 2 years ago, and I have yet to dry clean it. It doesn't need dry cleaning. Every time I go outside wearing it, I'm wearing an undershirt and then a collared shirt. Like, what's getting on the suit, you know? Can I dry clean my body? Probably not. No, probably not. Would I love the shower steam method? You really shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that unless it's an unlined suit, but you'll know if it's an unlined suit. That's only fused suits. Most proper good suits are not fused, they're stitched. Nope. Even fully lined, fully canvassed suits still have the laminate. They're not fused in the sense that that's the only connection between, but even the fully canvassed suit jacket has to be dry cleaned only. Because even if there's stitching, you can still... Here, I'll show you. Watch this. Suit jacket puckering. This is what you want to avoid. Because once it happens, there's pretty much no going back. There we go. This is an extreme version of it. But see, the canvassing, the layers that build up the structure of the suit, there's dimpling here because moisture has separated the layers. It is unfixable. If you avoid this, a suit jacket can keep going for decades and decades and decades. Do American politicians wash their suits in the washing machine? Is that why they all look so shit? Many people believe that a good way of getting wrinkles out of a suit is to steam it or to put it in the bathroom while you take a shower so the steam gets on it. This is bad, but a lot of people do believe that. And our politicians that do wear fully canvas suits often, yes, do have this puckering because of damage they've done to their suits. That's for shirts? Yeah, you can do that for shirts. The liquid natural gas shortage is going to affect dry cleaning prices because they use tetrachloroethylene heavily. Damn. That's fucked up. Couldn't you theoretically deconstruct the suit and reconstruct it to fix it? Not really, no. That would be like there being water damage to plywood, so you separate all of the plywood boards and then like reconstruct. It would be like, I mean, you could like reassemble it molecularly, but we're talking about like very granular damage, you know? Like I'm sure it might be possible with like a lot of money and time sometimes, but oh God, there's so much bad advice on the internet, man. I'm gonna lose my goddamn gourd. Look at this shit. Oh my God. How to tailor a suit jacket yourself, easy tutorial. Do you want your suit jacket to awkwardly buckle against your waist every time you move and to have literally no spare room between your clothing and your body? Do you think all jackets should be shrink wrapped to your fucking...
Got a suit jacket that you want to fit you better, but you don't want to pay a tailor? Yeah, let's make it happen. It's beginner friendly and I don't like...
You can't tailor the shoulder seam. You're not...
Let's do this. Lay your jacket down, smooth it out, and let's talk about our plan of attack.
Just pay a tailor? A tailor couldn't fix this. If the shoulders don't fit you, a tailor won't fix it. If you go to a tailor and ask them to bring in or bring out the shoulders of a suit jacket and they tell you they will, you should leave immediately because they're lying to you. It's like a good way of... It's like a good way of telling if the tailor's full of shit.
It's these two side seams right here. We're gonna alter these, and in the event that you want to alter the center seam as well, you can do that, but there's no need to do that on this jacket because it fits the middle of my back just fine.
Expanding or narrowing the shoulders is impossible? Basically, yeah. It's not so much that it's impossible. Well, sometimes it might actually be. Moving the shoulder seam means that you're moving the armhole. You're moving it asymmetrically. You're pulling it up here, and you might not be pulling it down here, which means that there might not be the right amount or enough of, or the right position of the fabric in the sleeve to match the new armhole. If you want a jacket adjusted, you can do darting on the side. Like there are things you can do to easily cut in, but adjusting the shoulder is really difficult. You might need extra fabric, the amount of labor. Yeah, it's a prohibitive amount of labor, I would say. Probably less expensive to just buy an entirely new jacket.
Some jackets have multiple additional seams like these two seams on the side and the front of the side seam first of our seams.
What is this lighting setting? The contrast.
Taper right. I got your back. And take a look between.
Oh no! Look at that stitching work. Ah! It's a suit, man. You're not putting together workwear. You can't be doing that.
Between my fingers right there. There's a minor hiccup, but nothing.
Okay.
Nothing bad at all. Not a big deal at all.
No. Well.
Yeah, how about that Galaxy S10 camera quality, huh?
Okay.
No need to cut anything. This is the outside. Little does anybody know that you spent like 20 minutes doing this yourself. Now let's go learn how to tailor a dress shirt to go perfectly with this jacket. It's in the end card. I'll see you on the other side. ST out, deuces.
Show the... Why are you not showing it on your body? You showed it from the back for a second. Why not from the front? Oh, whatever. Oh, man. There's so many tutorials like this. Why does everyone want a goddamn Italian cut suit?
That fits really biggest
Why
part,
does everyone want to look like an Italian?
Back stitching.
Hello.
And now I'm going to blend out following that chalk line that I drew. How it's fitting.
This is not how people's bodies look, man. You have to be so skinny for this to look good on you, and even then, it's still going to pucker around the seam. Jackets are supposed to be a little roomy. But she's a woman? I mean, the same applies there. People got one shot by Italian tailoring, man. Here, this is Italian tailoring done properly. As always, the excellent menswear blog Permanent Style coming in with the good icons here. Italian tailoring, informal, slim, you know, this is how it should look. But the key thing here, and this is so important, the key to luxury, and if you're wearing a suit, you probably want to come across like there's a degree of luxury inherent to the suit. It is formal wear, is comfort, ease, drape, right? You don't want, like, the clothes to constrict you. You want to look like you're comfortable and natural. How can you look luxurious if it looks like your body is struggling against the clothing that you're wearing every time you take a step? Every time you move, all these seams fold and you're strain against your body. Like, it doesn't look elegant. It looks like it looks awkward. It feels awkward, you know? Good tailoring should give you some room, some slack. Like this, you know? Look at this well-constructed jacket. You can even tell here, there's like a solid inch or two of room between his belly and the suit jacket here. Doesn't it look like he's comfortable? He could move around in this? But you still get a dramatic V shape with the clothing because the shoulder is constructed to exaggerate that profile. Anyway. Being buff for your height makes it hard to look comfortable in a suit. Often, unless you get it specifically tailored to you, yes. But there is one example, again, dye workwear, muscular. There's one example that he's provided many times that I'm so fond of a phenomenal suit fit on a very muscular person. I guess the contrast here would be like McGregor or whatever. Like, this is how a lot of muscular people look when they put on suits, and they look ridiculous. They look absolutely completely ridiculous, you know? I'm trying to find this one. Oh, there was this one spectacular photo of, I believe, a Korean. Yes, here we go. A Korean bodybuilder. Okay? Look at this, okay? Look at this, look at this, look at this. Let me find it. Look at that. Right there. See? Very muscular guy. And then he puts on the suit, and it's like, oh my God. You know? Look at that. You can tell that he's muscular because of his very, you know, obviously his very broad shoulders, but he still looks elegant because the suit is cut to accommodate his form. It's not straining at him with every goddamn movement, you know? Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger in a suit for another example. Hell yeah. Absolutely. I love that pant type. What is the name? What do you mean by pant type? It doesn't have belt loops. It's like a no belt loops trouser, pleated. What are those striped suits like what Schwarzenegger's wearing? Called I like it. Pinstripes. historically popular with like bankers. They're a good way nowadays of looking like you're a mob man. Unchud me. Can somebody unchud my beloved partner who has been pitching a fit about it for the past like 24 hours? Okay, I need to read donos or I'm never getting out of here. Osama Benjamin was very nice. We have to acknowledge, we have to address. I'm a lesbian. I probably want to get a suit and pants or suit and pencil skirt at some point. Where can I go for good advice? How do I develop a taste? I have no idea. That's not menswear. That's women's wear. I have no clue. Luxra and Juzor, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. I really appreciate that. Xanadu77 and Sergeant Flux, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Take that, Ben Shapiro, now who's living in open sewage. Ah, true. Good point. Good point. Alia88 and Soli, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Dialectical Daddy, nice name. Thanks for the tier 4 sub. Really appreciate that. Glad to join. Keep the good work. Thank you. No good work today, for it is Easter. Today is a day of rest. But, you know, we'll get back to it tomorrow. Thank you. Korsnor, thank you for the $5. Gibdos Rupees and Plog AAT, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Been tuning into more streams recently. Good to be back. Happy to have you here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. SamFan155, thank you for the $20. Holy crap, Trump just pulled an inshallah. Well, he pulled a praise Allah, at least. Incredibly funny. Wonder who's been listening to, you know? Bionic Meatloaf, thank you for the $10. I'm putting you in your goddamn book arc. Read The Neverending Story. It's a YA novel, but it's incredible, vividly imaginative with deep themes. Neverending Story, didn't they? It's an older one, right? Yeah, that's quite old. I don't know if the YA novel category even existed back when this was written. Yeah, I really don't know. I'm not opposed. Bjornholt Verts, thank you for the $5. Like the shirt, by the way. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Spaced Down Armor, thanks the tier 1 sub. Part of the rescue of the weapons officer from Iranian territory apparently involved the loss of 2 C-130 aircraft, valued about 80 million USD each. We lost 2 C-130s getting them out. I'll talk about that soon. Jesus Christ, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Apparently they've got them. Sake, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. I really appreciate that. Says he's going to check his Reddit. Loads Vosh V, Kek V. Hey, you know the deal. I'm excited to go shopping for a new suit as I've lost over 40 pounds and noticed the biggest difference in my shoulders, losing over 1.5 inches on each. Really? Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no getting around the fact some clothing can be altered to accommodate your, you know, your form, but suit jackets, that's pretty tough in a lot of cases. I wonder how well my suit jacket fits me now. I have lost some weight. 1.5 inches on each. That's very impressive. Do we believe in the whole color season thing for clothes? A little bit, yeah. If it's spring, I think that's a good time to wear pastels. I think it feels a little more natural to wear like a breezy pastel shirt in April than it would in like November. But yeah, it's not a huge deal. If I think more important than the colors is like the cloth itself, you know? You should be wearing heavier fabrics, stuff with a little bit more weight and drape during the colder months. It's not too important. I mean, it's Easter. Great time to wear pastels, really. It's like individuals have a specific season color category that suits them and they stick to it. Oh, I think that's often pseudoscience, but like, I don't know. Sometimes you feel like you look better in some colors. I don't think it's that big of a deal, you know? Like, it's not a hard science. It's just that sometimes the colors you wear might blend in a little bit too much with your skin tone or clash a bit, or some stuff looks good with your eyes. But yeah, I don't think it's a hard line thing. Victorious Gardenosaurus, thank you for the $10. Jolish, thank you for the $10. In the words of Trump, praise Allah. I'm always saying this, you know? Flopingus Republic and Supel Du, thank you for the $5 both. I really appreciate that. You forgot Moldova. Yeah, I think Moldova is more reason to be concerned than fucking Germany. But, you know, either way, we have to be careful with our concerns It's important to not understate the threat that Russia poses, but it's also important to not let the threat Russia poses sell us on like rampant MIC expansionism pitched by far-right politicians, you know? AU Monster, thank you for the very, very kind 500 Indian rupees. The rupee slips to 100 on the dollar while my fascist government is busy pushing US-style anti-trans laws. Yeah, I need to cover that. The anti-trans law in India, it's a big deal. Cite millennia of trans history in the subcontinent. Chud-ass losers everywhere, dog. Yeah, it's fucked up. You guys had like a longer cultural history towards what we would now call transgenderism than we did, but we like erased that in our colonial period. Sorry about that. Well, I mean, not America, but Britain, but you know what I mean. Haley and Vidogams, thank you for the 5 US and Canadian. Really appreciate that. Lorenza McCoy and Snorcore, thank you for the $2 both. Likewise, Shadow Angel. Beerlit, thank you for the 25 RON. Do you honestly not see the difference between the USA bombing in another continent for Israel and EU rearming to be safe for a... Do you honestly not see the difference between the USA bombing in another continent for Israel and the EU rearming to be safe from a neighboring country? No, I don't. Because in both cases, extremely hyperbolized arguments about the threat posed by a foreign country are used to justify far-right politicians dumping money into the military. In terms of like the actual threat posed, except for the nuclear threat, I think Russia poses as much of a threat to Germany as Iran does to America. I really do believe that. I really think that Russia has more than proven the fact that it does not pose much of a conventional threat to NATO, you know? I mean, obviously nukes are nukes, but if you're worried about nuclear weapons flying, I would be way more concerned about Israel than Russia. Serene Berghausen, thank you for the 12 euro. Taking the Baltics is easy and quick compared to Ukraine. Okay, but people said that about Ukraine in the first place. For Russia to open a new front, we would see them massing. There would be like warning, and the Baltic states have been prepared for a long time. Not saying that they're capable of single-handedly fighting off Russia. Just, you know, they would be a bulwark. Not to mention they're NATO countries. I'm not as concerned about Russia's conventional threat, and I'm very suspicious of people trying to sell that narrative. Red Baron, thank you for the 4 2-pound donos. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. David Clausen, thank you for the $5. Joel Tierra, thank you for the $10. Wanted to kindly urge you actually check out Pirone. His videos are long but well researched and digestible. I know it's not your main interest, but we do live in times of war. You know, yeah, I'm not opposed to watching those videos at all. I have nothing against Pirone. I've never watched any of his videos, so not really a partial difference. Still alive. Thank you for the 3 $5 donos. I guess I answered 2 of the questions here. You know? Would you say the main issue with how millennials write media is that it's too ironic and it lacks sincerity? I am not nearly well read enough to make statements about the problem with millennial writing. That's way too broad of a statement for me to make. I do think that modern writing often struggles with sincerity or coming across try-hard. And I think that every time I read a passage from a modern book that's written at an accessible level, the main problem that I have with it is that it feels like it's being written the way people talk. But writing isn't talking is the problem, you know? Those are different things. So they're written in like a very, very easily digestible, very basic, very uninteresting way, which I think it would like writing the way you speak would be like only ever painting the way photographs take pictures, in that it's not necessarily bad, but obviously we would be missing out on a lot of really interesting art if all painters were just trying to paint photorealistically. Like, the skill required to do that aside, it's like, why not just take the photo? You know? Like, I'm looking at a painting, you can do anything with it. I want you to do more with it. And I'm not opposed to photorealistic paintings necessarily. I mean, I do find that boring for the most part, even if it takes a lot of skill to pull off. But that's not why I look at paintings. I don't look at paintings to look at a photograph. I look at paintings to see what only paint can provide, I guess, in the same way that I don't want to read a book and feel like I'm being talked to by the writer. like a guy's just talking to me. Can somebody please find that screenshot of people dunking on the movie adaptation of the book, the Ryan Gosling movie, Project Hail Mary? Can somebody please find the screenshot? There was a bunch of discourse over it. Please. No one? Man, I don't know how to find it. I looked for it earlier. I'm looking. The P together one, right? No, like the guy talking about how he's as old as George Washington. That one. This? Thana, you angel, sent from on high. Thank you very much. Yeah, this. Totally random, just like a thing to look at. This is what I had in mind. This is from the book, Project Hail Mary. How long do Iridians live? He wiggled a claw. Average is 689 years. Earth years? Yes, he says a little sharply. Always Earth units. You are bad at math, so always Earth units. I can't even speak for a moment. How many years have you been alive? 291 years, he pauses. Yes, Earth years. Holy cow, Rocky is older than the United States. He was born around the same time as George Washington. It's the first person and the transliteration of the mental the internal speech literally onto the page that makes it come across like the blithering of an idiot. Does that make any sense? Like, it sounds like if you were summarizing a thought process, as opposed to, like, I don't know. This is really, really ass writing. I feel that I'm literally doing the thing of, like, guy who's read one book. This is giving me a lot of this book vibes. But I really did enjoy Between Two Fires. And there was a passage. There was a passage that I really enjoyed towards the end of the book, which was a recollection of the Pope. I don't know if I could. Oh, here. Do you mind if a white boy reads just a little bit? Just a little bit? It's like Percy Jackson writing. It's for young teens. Yeah, the problem is it's not just young teens who are reading it. It's everyone. You should, The only reason I'm thinking of this passage specifically is because the book is very dialogue heavy. There's not too much prose, and this is a big block of prose. That night in August, he could not sleep. The braziers on either side of him lit his bedroom with a fierce light, illuminating the curls and spirals of the fresco of the oak tree that embraced all four walls. Squirrels and birds perched there, and acorns all on the slender branches that looped over a frescoed sky of the rarest blue. Pierre Roger, known as Clement, that's the Pope, was sweating in his silk sleeping gown, the cord of his sleeping cap wet beneath his chin. He called for Lequin, his cubicular, to bring him a little watered wine. The young man, an angelic blonde from Bordeaux, had been charged by Maître de Cholic not only to keep the braziers hot enough so the fire might be seen, this is to keep the Holy Father free of plague, no matter how uncomfortable the heat, but also, and more urgently, to watch that neither coverlet nor pillow should be pushed by the sleeping hand or knee into the flame. You can get a lot done with a paragraph there, right? You set a tone, you describe a situation. Wet beneath his chin gives you this, like, disgusting feeling of, like, you're sweating your ass off. It's very, I don't know, it's punchy. It's very good. I'm not well read enough to, like, review books. I just, it's good, but it's evocative, and it gets you further than you could ever get by writing the way you speak, because nobody speaks this way. I've read the first Dune book. All right, let me finish up here. Kowalski, thanks to $5. After 12 hours rebuilding farm equipment yesterday, I went to the gym and did 64 pull-ups over 8 sets. Jesus Christ. No excuses, still got no bitches. At least I have that one up on you, Kowalski. 64 pull-ups over 8 sets. Jesus Christ. I couldn't even imagine. Anyway, Raw, thank you for the 20 pounds. Cheers, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Cheers to you. And Benjamin Gilbert Liff with the incredibly kind $500 donation. Thank you very, very much. You're entirely too kind to me, and I mean that sincerely. Flying to New Orleans with PV, Progressive Victory for those uninitiated. For a moronic DNC event tomorrow, it's been interesting to see how many proper socialists are higher ups in the DNC and still can't get anything done because they won't work together. The tanky versus normal socialist divide has made it to the DNC. I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? At least that means there are enough leftists in the party for there to be infighting. Well, have a good time up there. You know, maybe you'll be able to get something done. It is crazy, though. Like, the more time passes, the more young leftist DNC staffers are going to find their way into the upper echelons of power. Hopefully they're able to work together long enough to actually get something done. Thank you, Ben, and good luck. All right, folks, I'm going to go. It's a beautiful day. Actually, like, really beautiful. You can tell. Look at all the sunlight pouring in from the blinds behind me. I'm going to go out and enjoy my nice new Made in USA vintage Levi's 550s. So take care. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow.